When in his past life, Wang Gong died at 34, relentlessly hunted by the powerful Jin family. For the battle axe seed warship, a dying captain had pressed into his hands. He woke at 20 on mining planet KQ-03, a murder worm in his skull. Then the warship game. Auxiliary system lit up. Suddenly, every hidden stat on the battle axe lay bare. He found the Yadai civilization in heterospace, wiping out 3 of their planets and walking away 1,876 source points richer. Now he harvests entire civilizations. If you want to see how he conquers them, drop a quick subscribe. It helps out a ton, but none of this epic scale madness happened overnight. It started on the fateful day it all broke open, just 3 minutes after his rebirth. He had basically accepted the reality. 1 second he was inside a shattered warship, feeling his body tearing apart. The next he is standing on a planet again, breathing rust-scented wind, the heavy weight of his boots pressing into the hard ferrocrete of a mining company parking berth. Fate is a vicious, strange sort of generous. She vanishes right when he needs her, then drops the biggest gift of his life in his lap at the absolute worst possible moment. Somehow, this is the exact moment she picked for him. He is 20 years old again, 10 days before the exact event that ruined his past life, and the warship game auxiliary system is still sitting in the top right corner of his vision, exactly where it had always been. The little azure overlay has not blinked, has not glitched, and has not even bothered to congratulate him. Of course, it has not. It is an auxiliary system, not a therapist. Ju Samyong, the scruffy, bearded administrator who handles the rental desk, is leaning heavily on the railing, telling him to hurry it up. Apparently, he had been staring at the rental berth for 10 full minutes, and other miners are already queuing behind him. He says it with a friendly smile. For a mining company, a high-yield miner like Wang Gong, who brings in clean cargo and never causes trouble, is a highly welcome partner. And that buys him a level of patience other miners never get. Any other guy dragging his feet like this, Ju Samyong warns him, would have been spat on by some fierce-looking miner holding a fuel can. But Wang Gong is not actually struggling to choose. He already picked his ship the split second he saw the lot. The scanning function, the one resident utility the auxiliary system has always given him for free, paints every hull in his vision with a status overlay. Out of dozens of mining ships in the berth, one is showing pure green on every single component. It is a Mine Overlord Type 2, an old model from over 100 years ago. Yet somehow the cleanest vessel on the entire lot. Its readout floats neatly beside it. For him, showing an F-class near-space mining ship, 91% status, with no growth potential. F-class means absolute rock bottom for near-space vessels, but out here in the remote starfield of the Blackstone Baron, on a mining planet that the rest of human civilization has completely forgotten, 91% on an F-class is pure treasure. The streamlined hull of this Mine Overlord Type 2 is quite rare for its class, almost elegant if you tilt your head. He tells Ju Samyong he will take the Mine Overlord Type 2, asking him to open up the authorization. The administrator says all right. His easygoing way, tapping the portable light computer on his wrist, he flicks through the list, finds the ship Wang Gong is pointing at, and bumps wrists with him too. Clear the transfer. It is a simple 5-second exchange that in his past life he was too inexperienced to truly appreciate. He quickly brings up the ship login interface, riding the tractor. He beams straight into the cockpit, sliding into the pilot's seat. His hands know exactly what to do. He should not, since he has not touched an old mine Overlord Type 2 like this in over a decade, yet his muscle memory is right. They are waiting, no questions asked. It is just pure skill. The 53-meter hull lifts on 4 high-power industrial engines, leaving the parking berth. Climbs hard, breaks atmosphere, and slides smoothly into open space. Only when he is finally floating again in that cold, dark space does he drop his shoulders. The rebirth came too fast. He needs a minute to let his head catch up to his hands. This is planet KQ-03, the only habitable rock in the mining zone starfield of the Blackstone Baron, the place he lived on for 20 straight years in his previous life. He believed he knew everything, from its orbital path to its exact rotational period, especially the asteroid belt mining area and the nearby band that pays out the richest mineral mix. He knew there were 13 million people and 3 mining companies, a primary metallurgical industry, the appointed governor, and a resident escort fleet of 12 warships. He knew the surface map by heart. What he did not know last time was that the loudest voice on KQ-03 belonged To the Sky Shark Merchant Association, the shrewdest businessman was the Sky Tiger Merchant Fleet, and the best-informed eyes on the planet were inside. The Kingfisher Club talk about a costly blind spot that ignorance got him killed. He has a deadly clash in 10 days, which he tried to hide last. Life, his cover-up was so incredibly amateur, it was read off his face like a price tag. Then sold as a tradable intelligence commodity to anyone with the money to pay. Not knowing yourself and not knowing the enemy, no wonder he died on the run. He brings up the auxiliary system, and the familiar Azure interface unfolds in his head. First function scanning, second function data link is completely offline, optional function 1 heterospace. Offline, optional function 2 module growth value. Doubling unavailable, optional function 3 module characteristic choice is also locked. Advanced function 1 source point acquisition doubling completely unavailable. Advanced function 2 heterospace civilization level. Restriction removal unavailable, a handsome row of locked doors and just one unlocked one. Scanning is the door he has been living behind. It is what let him walk into a ship lot last life and pick out the only vessel that would not fall apart on him, which is how a kid with no patrons ended up as a top-tier miner on this rock, earning his first real fortune in life. Everything below it stays gray until he gets his hands on a warship, meeting the system standards, and a warship for an ordinary civilian on KQ-3 is a dream they do not even bother mentioning out loud. There is one piece of new information the system gave him on the way back. Its only hidden function was a brief, one-time time reversal. He has already used it, meaning there are no more resets. Whatever he does from now on is on a single life. Luckily, the timing landed clean. Every regret from the last decade and a half has not had a chance to happen yet. He is back at the door, and this time, he knows what lies on the other side. Last time around, when he first transmigrated into this massive ship era of Star Rivers with a protagonist cheat inside his head, he was happy and full of ambition. Talent is born to be used, especially transmigrators cheat, to not make some contribution to human civilization. Felt like something he should be embarrassed about, but reality slapped that right out of him. Freezing rain hit his face until his features rearranged into the face of a man who knew better. This time, he will not be that naive. The trip from KQ-03 to the asteroid belt mining zone takes about 13 hours on the Mine Overlord Type 2's high-power engine. The lane has been cleared and is regularly maintained, so he can hand the stick to the shipboard optical computer and let it cruise. He sets entrance number 2 as the destination and steps away from the panel to put his body through its paces, a full hour of stretching, core work, then upper body muscle training, by the end of which he is completely drenched. Without the conditioning that body refinement technique cultivation gives, his physical quality is still a step behind where it needs to be. The privileged class controls the entry requirements for body refinement technique cultivation, and in a backwater starfield like the mining zone, he might as well try to file a paper application for sunlight. Class is the one thing humanity has never managed to leave behind, even in the interstellar era, where productivity is so far past actual demand that they could feed everyone 3 times over. The privileged class has solidified its position by monopolizing the high-end resources. The gap between a baronet's grandson and a mining belt orphan in this era is more obscene than it was in the planetary age, but he is not worried about it. The current date is Star Calendar 10103, the 1st of June, and the turning point of his previous life is 10 days out. If he keeps his head down for 10 days, he touches that class line himself. He uses the star calendar because that is the standard universal 24-hour day and 365-day year inherited from humanity's old home. The blue star, every planet runs its own local calendar based on its real orbit and rotation, and for someone who lives in space and bounces between worlds, they need a shared clock, or they are constantly converting in their head. 13 hours pass in a blink. He spends most of it sorting memories. The shipboard optical computer pipes its monotone alert tone into the cockpit, telling him entrance number 2 is here, and he needs to switch to manual. Old, new, and procurement is as cheap as ever. This Mine Overlord Type 2 does not even have the personalized voice prompt activated, and frankly, its level 486 class optical computer cannot handle the asteroid belt's flight conditions on autopilot. Anyway, the complex airspace inside would torment a brain this dumb. The Asteroid Belt Mining Zone is not a fixed location like a surface mine. It moves. The way planets move constantly, both relative to the outside and inside. Itself, entrance number 2 does not refer to a hole in the rock. It is just a relatively fixed micro-forward base that one of the mining companies parked in the neighboring airspace to help miners locate their targets and offer some logistics. He brings the Mine Overlord Type 2 in and docks at the forward base, a spindle-shaped steel construct, dark and solid, regular. Lights pulsing on its skin like a cabin lantern in the pitch-black wilderness. The lighthouse for interstellar miners, sentimental, sure, but true, he links to. Dong connects to the local short-range network, asking the observer about asteroid conditions while his own detector starts sweeping the nearby belt. Suddenly, a warm, energetic female voice crackles back, telling him the flow rate is normal, with the next clear window opening within the hour. Welcome home, Brother Dong. He pauses for a moment and asks if Lee is the one on shift today. She laughs and says, of course, it is the first week of the month. He feels terrible for forgetting exactly which week the cutest little Lee works. And it is truly heartbreaking. The pout in her voice is so theatrical it could easily power a small kitchen. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, a big round face, a height and weight perfectly matched to the kilogram. She is the self-styled guardian angel of all interstellar miners. That silly little jingle she made up starts playing in his head against his will. She is the kind of older sister who can warm a room a person forgot they were sitting in. In the silent universe, that kind of warmth is its own rare resource. He has not heard her voice in over 10 years, and the muscle of his own laugh remembers her before his brain does. He chats a little, asking about recent movements and abnormal changes in the belt, his previous lives. Memory tells him this asteroid belt has always been stable, but a miner who relies on memory over caution is a dead miner. If they do not value their own life out here, who exactly is going to value it for them before she lets him go? Lee drops a quick warning. Old Shay picked entrance number 2 this time too. She warns him to watch out. He lets the name turn over in his mouth and the memories unfold. Before Dong showed up on this rock, Old Shay was the top dog among the interstellar miners here. Decent skill, decent luck, and a personality that nobody loved but nobody dared to call out. Once Dong's auxiliary system started picking out the cleanest holes, and his yield started shaming Old Shay's, his standing slipped and he decided Dong was the problem. He started watching him. He followed his runs, provoking him in the local channel every chance he got. Greasy, middle-aged man with a balding head, thick lips, and dull little eyes. He is the kind of human noise pollution whose exhaustion you only notice once. He is suddenly gone. Speak of the devil, a slick voice cuts into the local network asking if this is their star miner brother. He says his own mining skills are not that great. Would Brother Dong be kind enough to give him some pointers on how to move? Dong feels a flash of resentment toward his own excellent memory. Why is this low-quality info so incredibly vivid? He has a mature brain. He should be running scheduled cleanups. He is not the kind of man who can dominate a fight with words. He never has been, so he gives the same answer he always gives him. He tells him if he wants to fight, then fight. The channel lights up like a tavern at last call. Some gambler starts taking odds, placing Old Shay at 1.5 to 1 and Brother Dong at 1.1. Someone jokes about working for free if Old Shay wins. Someone else jokes about Leeway Mountain Villa, while a third person asks why Brother Dong always starts with that exact dismissive grunt. Another voice says if anyone knew that, they would be Brother Dong too. The miners need this, out in the cold, desolate universe on a monotone diet of mining life. Anyone who does not seize every little spark of fun won't last long. Old Shay got what he came for, but he keeps chattering, hoping to provoke Dong into snapping. Dong refuses to give him the satisfaction. He switches his comms to text only to finally get some quiet. The contest between miners has never been about the pitiful little self-defense laser gun bolted onto these mining ships. It cannot pierce even basic G1 aerospace steel plating. It is only for shoeing pebbles. The real contest is itself, focusing on ship handling and mining technique. Now, he and Old She are about to decide who pushes deeper into the asteroid belt before their nerve breaks. The deeper they go, the richer the veins and the more intact the deposits. It is a slow, truly brutal march toward death. The deepest miner brings home the most ore. That is the only metric. This is not the first time Old She has tried to bait him into this exact contest. He always Believed his yields are not skill, absolutely convinced he must have stumbled onto secret information. He does not have a hidden vein, a pattern, or some secret. So he constantly follows him, hovering nearby, hoping for a slip. Provokes him at the edges, hoping he will slip. It is incredibly frustrating. He has shaken him off 10 or 20 times, yet the next day he returns, that same greasy voice buzzes in his communication channel like an unswattable fly. Sometimes he could yank the man's intestines out, wrap them around his neck 20 times and pull. The world would finally go silent. In his past life, he did exactly that. After that contest, his world really did go quiet, but the brutal aftermath followed him. Everywhere like a shadow, this time old she sets the same rules. Part when the window opens, return along the decided route map, he agrees. The asteroid belt is shifting, vastly different masses, different trajectories. Inside, the rocks spin and drift at every speed imaginable. The outermost layer is a highly turbulent zone of small and micro celestial bodies orbiting the edge at high speed. They are perfectly capable of cracking the weak armor of a mining ship, easily vaporizing the soft interior. Mining corporations send specialized ships ahead to thin out that outer layer. They never clear it completely because the cost is simply too high, just enough to thin the turbulence for a short clear space. The miners call this the window period, a vital moment. The forward base predicts it perfectly. Right on time, the window opens. The forecast is flawless. The moment it clears, his mine overlord Type 2 and his opponents near space hegemon Type 1 ignite thrusters, holding posture. They pierce the turbulent layer and slide into the belt. Inside the cockpit, magnetic straps lock him in. Then he cuts the ship's artificial gravity generation system, diverting that saved power straight to the 8 lateral attitude adjustment engines along the mine overlord's hull. He grips the 8-way rudder, pushing the main engine to 1/3. The joy of manual flight hits him much harder than expected. This is not the Tomahawk destroyer he commanded in his past life. A near-space mining vessel is barely a step above a space shuttle, a real baby brother of a ship, lacking the heavy armor and propulsion of deep space vessels that can trade fire with warships. She has her own unique advantages, since she does not budget for combat protection. The mine overlord has 8 adjustment engines, double a standard warship's amount, and 2 more than old She's. Shay pilots a near-space hegemon Type 1. In this complex airspace, those 2 extra engines are the absolute difference between making a tight turn and a coffin. As the flight continues, the muscle memory of this specific old hull slowly comes back to him. Piece by piece, he pulls away from old Shay at visible speed, easily taking the lead within the very first minute. He pushes all 8 attitude thrusters to their edge of their limit. He threads the mine overlord Type 2 through narrow gaps between asteroids without dropping thrust, maintaining a blistering speed. Old Shay grits his teeth, desperately clinging to his tail. He is no slouch. With over 20 years of piloting experience, this veteran sits near the top of the mining community, and their usual contests always ended with Shay losing by a tiny hair. The gap was always marginal, but today, not even close. The overlord looks far more agile than usual because he is flying incredibly sharp today. Dozens of his small, precise decisions stack up, building an absolute massive lead before 10 minutes pass. He is not even at his limit. He has plenty of time to sift through the memories in his head. How did he do it last time, he wonders. Then he remembers. He went all out. He pulled the rug completely out from under his rival with what looked like a flashy show of skill, but was actually just murder dressed up as high-level piloting. The attitude adjustment thruster number 3 on the lower hull of the near-space ship of Old Shay was poorly maintained. His own auxiliary scanning systems had caught the malfunction before they crossed the turbulence layer, highlighting the failing component in yellow, the warning color for poor condition. After they entered the belt last time, he controlled the rhythm, dictated the line, and engineered a series of rapid flight changes that forced sharp turns, deliberately stressing that single weak thruster on his hull. After 30 minutes of this relentless pressure, the overloaded component overheated and failed on its own. A single failed attitude thruster is not immediately fatal. The other 5 can compensate, but ship control gets sluggish deep inside the asteroid belt, and out here, sluggish means death. The hegemon Type 1 spiraled wildly, clipping an asteroid he should have easily avoided, losing all stable control. He was swept into a turbulent stream, colliding with massive space debris. before finally smashing straight into a massive asteroid that was over a kilometer in width. Shay ejected his escape pod in time, but the pod was destroyed by stray space meteorites. Thrown out of the chaos, that was the end of Shay. He had thought it was a clever set up. The black boxes on both their ships proved he did not directly cause the crash, but those flight records were not the problem. The fatal accident of old Shay brought his family demanding answers. He only learned afterward that the dead pilot was a distant relative of the mine owner, the kind of relative who would not matter on any normal day, but a death inside the mining zone required a scapegoat to apologize. And that target was him. The greedy family demanded a massive sum of compensation, but he refused. The family exploited the mine owner influence, turning his life into a miserable grind. They latched onto his schedule like a second job, and those small anomalies in his daily routine that nobody had ever noticed before were suddenly dragged into the light. Drew intense scrutiny. They stopped being simple quirks and started becoming incriminating clues. His cautious moves were no longer confidential. That was the beginning. But watch closely, he's not making that same play this time. The first run was satisfying, but also dangerous. After all, if the man holding the knife cannot control the size of the if the operation fails, he already has a few backup plans mapped out. He is already figuring out how to handle old Shay. For a deadbeat like that, dying is ultimately the cleanest solution. The same goes for the mine owner and his entire crew. Not yet. The butterfly has not flapped its wings yet. In 10 days, he will reach the ultimate turning point of his fate. At that crucial moment, any extra noise must be avoided, so instead, he chooses to simply crush old Shay. He leaves him so far behind that the guy cannot even see his thruster exhaust. After 10+ minutes of chasing, his mine overlord Type 2 completely disappears. From the tracker screen, old Shay's close-range probe can still catch his beacon light, but even that will blink out of range within a single minute. And honestly, what good is a tracker signal if there is no ship left to chase? Old Shay stares at the flight path heading straight into the deep asteroid belt, watching his scanner screen light up with dangerous red warning dots. Realization hits him like a truck. Without engine visuals, pursuing is suicide. Even on a set path, he would never dare enter airspace that hostile, let alone improvise. In his past life, he was only slightly better at piloting than old Shay. Just a top-tier veteran near elite status, but after this regression with over a decade of combat flight experience in his hands, he has broken cleanly into the peak of elite. He sits a full major rank above him now. What old Shay is experiencing right now is not just bad luck, it is a massive tier difference made completely visible. The exact same crushing display he demanded a dozen times and finally received. Plus, he is buying into the misinformation, which is exactly according to plan. Why else would Brother Dong dare fly where others cannot? The rich veins are deep. That is the exact narrative he wants old Shay to tell himself. It works perfectly. The peace it buys him is exactly what he needs, so he puts old Shay out of mind. The guy will survive this trip without anyone needing to sabotage his thrusters. This sector is forgiving enough that a bad maneuvering thruster will not kill him. That means one less body on the ledger. No evidence for a case. Besides, there is real work to do. He cannot return empty-handed. That would look suspicious, as miners do not run empty laps. The regressed pilot has to stay careful, meaning actual mining still needs to happen. His actual goal, gathering rare energy crystals. These minerals are exceptionally pure elements formed under complex conditions. Boasting a long list of vital uses, they never grow in their own veins, always spawning inside other deposits and graded strictly by their compression density. While basic system resonance functions only cost him some physical stamina, activating the system's higher abilities requires these precious energy crystals. In his previous life, he had no idea until the system woke up on his warship. Back then he had to scramble to feed it, but now he is prepared. He is stocking up the pantry well before his guest even arrives. The airspace near asteroid sector KQ-03 lacks high-quality ore veins, unlike the deep, rich space sectors, but he cannot afford to be picky right now. But low-grade crystals are fine. Early on, the system burns through them incredibly fast, so he pushes the mine overlord Type 2 deeper into the belt, and 30 minutes later, he finally cuts the throttle. He cuts the engines, figuring this spot is deep enough. Going any further would push his reborn piloting to overtime, and those energy crystals are the only reason he is out this deep for such valuable loot. The odds of finding energy crystals are way higher deep inside the belt. The outskirts get picked clean by every amateur with a license. Even if a crystal landed there, someone already grabbed it. He switches his scanners to search for minerals, holding the ship perfectly steady so the particle streams from the antenna do not lose their target rock. Checking each asteroid one by one, survey times vary by size and density. Scanning takes pure patience, and 10 hours of this is brutal. It really tests your mental stamina. A 32-second scan is usually just trash. Sure enough, iron. A 28-second scan means copper. Talking to yourself is the oldest habit a space miner ever develops. The asteroid belt ruins long-range comms. This harsh celestial environment shreds signals to pieces. Out here, you either talk to your own teeth, or you completely forget how to speak. He mutters results aloud to stay sane. An hour passes, and the results are not looking good. No crystals, not even basic scrap, but he is not giving up. Miners are used to this miserable grind. There is even a song that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mining is such a hard drive. All he digs is copper, and the purity is a mere 5%. Normal iron and copper are basically worthless in this era, yet those are what most of these asteroids are actually made of, filling up his entire cargo hold. With iron would barely cover the ship rental fee. He hits the controls and relocates. Now watch, luck finally strikes in the next zone. 85 seconds gas ore, 112 seconds. Look what he found, titanium. Only 40 minutes after relocating, he hits a major find. Solidified gases, over 1,000 times more valuable than copper, and nether titanium is rarer still. This tough, silver-white alloy is used to build premium battleship armor, selling for 30 times more than gas. From his experience, nether titanium is easily the most precious mineral in this entire belt, second only to crystals. Even though his main target is those crystals, he still needs a normal cargo haul to keep his records boring. This nether titanium shows up at perfect timing. He maneuvers his massive vessel, Mine Overlord Type 2, aligning the ship belly first with the asteroid. It is over 300 meters wide, not huge, but pushing the limit of what this ship can handle. He must close within 100 meters, so the magnetic lassos can lock onto the core, no matter the size. Any asteroid is a massive behemoth compared to his small ship. At close range, the gravitational pull is strong enough to yank his ship sideways. Any collision here would send both tumbling out of control, straight into deadly gravitational turbulence. He might still be a rookie pilot. And this isn't the true deep belt, so he carefully brings her in. With controls in hand, he microcorrects the 8 attitude thrusters, constantly neutralizing every single wobble from the asteroid's pull. The asteroid's gravity tries to drag him down, but there's no need to calculate. He does not need the endless diagnostic data filling his optical computer screen. His hands move purely on reflex. The deep instincts of an interstellar miner are wired into his body, lining up close the ship's belly. The Mine Overlord Type 2 opens wide. 4 magnetic lassos shoot out, capturing the asteroid with a solid magnetic restraint, a 5-minute process. Once the lock holds, he eases his grip on the controls. This restraint binds the ship and asteroid together as one, which is absolutely vital. For the rest of the job, multiple massive drill bits now extend from the ship's belly, aligning perfectly with the mineral veins mapped earlier, tearing deep into the giant asteroid floating right ahead. These incredibly high strength alloy drills are the most expensive gear on the entire ship. For a good reason, driven by the heavy engine, they peel outer rock like a wet shell and plunge inside. Over 5 hours later, the shipboard computer signals completion. The massive cargo hold of the Mine Overlord Type 2 has gained over 100 tons of nether titanium. The asteroid floating in front of him has lost 1/8 of its mass. The core is hollowed out, but the shell remains intact. He retracts his drill bits, releases the magnetic clamps, and steers the ship cleanly away. Minutes after he leaves, the giant rock loses its binding inertia, shedding a massive cloud of loose debris as it starts drifting off its natural orbit, triggering small chain reactions nearby. But he is already long gone, brutally direct yet precise. That is space mining. Deep in the belt, he sweeps for 30 hours. His total haul is just 3 units of low-grade energy crystal. Aside from that titanium, he didn't touch anything else because he simply cannot afford the time. A near space vessel lacks heavy endurance engineered solely for quick runs and frequent, rapid resupplies. These energy crystals are incredibly rare, while ordinary ores are. Measured in 100-ton loads, these crystals are counted in tiny units, where a single unit maxes out at just about 1 kilogram, tiny. As it is, extracting them cleanly is a nightmare, but he finds these 3 units inside an orichalcum deposit, working his way down with giant, then medium, and finally tiny drills to bring them aboard. Next, he goes in by hand with a manual alloy hammer to gently detach the crystals without shattering them. That delicate task took over 10 grueling hours. Breathing a heavy sigh, he wipes away his sweat. His minimum target is safely in the hold, but pushing himself so hard has left him completely exhausted. Out here, a tired miner is a dead miner, so he stops. Pushing any further would only ruin his profits. Navigating out of the hazardous mining zone with extreme care, he waits at the edge for a clear window, finally letting his guard down as the cosmic environment becomes far less hostile than the brutal deep belt. He doesn't wait long. A few hours later, he docks back at the forward base. Lee is still working. After catching up, he learns that old Shay has already returned from the deep belt. The rival heads home after admitting defeat. No deadly traps waiting for him this time. He actually sounds genuinely chastened, which is a nice change. The hidden threat is diffused. Now, old Shay just needs to keep his head down for a bit. He can settle the rest of that massive debt later at his own convenience. He does not linger at the forward base since the trip is on autopilot. Once he is finally out of the mining zone, he crosses paths with a patrol fleet. They are one of 4 squads keeping watch over this sector every single day. Every group boasts 3 warships, 2 scout vessels, and 1 assault ship. The route from KQ-03 to the asteroid belt is heavily patrolled and highly secure. He watches the 3 massive warships pass, feeling absolutely nothing at all. His past self would have stared slack-jawed at those giant guns and heavy armor. He used to dream about them, thinking a warship like that would activate his system. But after being reborn, honestly, he could not care less about them. To him, standard warships like these are nothing but cheap cannon fodder. He checks his interface, and his auxiliary system silently agrees. These standard hulls do not meet its requirements, showing 0 growth potential. His system clearly has taste, even if it lacks high intelligence. That makes perfect sense, considering it is just a basic auxiliary tool. It is not designed to act cute or artificially stretch out his story. He parks his mine overlord Type 2 back at the company docking bay. Next, he lets the automated settlement machinery take over the process. The facility silently sorts, crushes, and refines all the ore in his hold. His final earnings will only post once the entire processing cycle is complete. There is no point standing around, as the logs are saved automatically. Thankfully, the mining company is actually quite reliable with their payouts. But do not mistake that for kindness, it is just simple corporate math. They take the lion's share through rental fees, refining costs, and forced buybacks. This means a regular miner is basically working just to stay alive. They toil away for a tiny wage, barely surviving in this place. Unless someone manages to bring back rare nether titanium ore, they never get ahead. He quietly carries 3 units of low-grade energy crystals off the ship instead. The company pays well for them, but he has other plans. His upcoming plan requires the actual crystals themselves, rather than some cash. Pocketing them is technically a contract violation, but he knows he can avoid detection. As long as he avoids selling on the open market, he stays off their radar. Since the company pays market price, ordinary miners never bother to skim. Besides, to ordinary people, these energy crystals are completely useless anyway. The crimson sky and rust-scented air wake up long-buried memories as he walks. Walking down the H22 pedestrian belt, he knows where to go. Reaching the intersection, he transfers over to the S19 pedestrian belt. He walks back to his residential block on a path unused for 10 years. Those peaceful days on KQ-03 left a deeper mark than he likes. After his real identity was exposed, he embarked on a long, brutal journey. Following a decade of constant running, his time in the mining starfield was peaceful. In fact, those years were the only good stretch of his entire life. His hard work paid off. He earned widespread respect as an interstellar miner, steadily building up his first real pot of gold. Wealth safe and quiet, planet KQ-03 was a desolate place where you cannot hear birds sing, smell flowers, or feel real sunlight, yet it became his symbol of peace and beauty. He was a complete embarrassment to the transmigration trope. After passing scan, he enters his home. Minimalist and clean, it is the setup of a bachelor. Planet KQ-03 has only a few hundred years of colonial history, with a population of just over 10 million living off mining and metallurgy. Outside of those main pillars, the technology level here barely covers daily needs. In this interstellar era, distance is the greatest hurdle, the gap between planets in the same galaxy, never mind across different galaxies, can be absolutely massive, spreading advanced technology. Costs heavy resources. Out here in the Xing Kingdom, under a feudal social structure, the noble lords hold all the extraordinary power and high-end military power. You will not find many privileged elites willing to spend that capital to make daily life better for the working class. Public opinion only exists for show. The lords do not need votes. His routine is to mine on the 1st, 10th, and 20th of each month. 3 runs a month bring in 300,000 credits in Xing Kingdom currency, an incredibly high income for someone of his class. He transmigrated as a soul into an infant and grew up in an orphanage, and his original life plan was to save up, leave for a more prosperous starfield, buy a warship there, and finally trigger his cheat power to reach the peak of existence. But after his rebirth, he knows that plan was a fading dream. It was never actually going to happen. Life, as they call it, has endless choices, and most of his decisions in this life are already locked in, yet the memories and experience of his rebirth have finally carved him a little breathing room on this tightrope. Over the next few days, he drafts a thorough plan, taking advantage of the free time he never had before to review everything and quietly make preparations. No attention drawn. Time passes quickly when the work is meaningful. In the blink of an eye, it is the 10th of the 6th month, a day he will never forget. Back at the mining company docks, Joe Samyong is settling the accounts while he selects a ship. Joe casually asks if the last payout of 822,000 credits cleared without any issues. Joe Samyong is incredibly efficient in his role, managing security, warehousing, and settlements while keeping every single ledger perfectly clean. Every account they settled over the years was accurate down to the last digit. He nods with no objections. The money arrived 2 days ago, and he verified the details. That massive payout came from nether titanium ore, making his escape preparations much easier. He selects another mine, Overlord Type 2, in great condition. He values this model for the maneuverability of its 8 directional thrusters, because during a crisis, that exceptional handling might improve his survival odds by a tiny sliver. His heart is racing, but his face remains completely blank. He boards, launches, and sets course. Destination is entrance number 3. 16 hours later, he arrives. Entrance number 3 sits further out than entrance number 2. This time, he gets lucky. The window opens exactly as he docks at the forward base, letting him enter the belt immediately. From here on, it is a pure test of his acting skills. He pushes deep into the mining area, settles down, and starts operating. 33 seconds. Junk ore, move on. 68 seconds. Aluminum ore, specific gravity too low, not worth. Hold space. As usual, he narrates aloud, his voice steady, reading conclusions from the detector into an empty cockpit. After making enough runs through the belt, he finally spots an irregular meteorite containing profound copper ore and begins the extraction. Skilled approach, magnetic confinement, drill engagement. In perfect completion. To any observer, he is exactly what he looks like, a young and talented interstellar miner doing a routine afternoon of work, but the string inside him is pulled tight. Talk about perfect timing. Just as he prepares to move on, massive change arrives. A bizarre spatial distortion folds open right above his mind. Overlord Type 2, and a colossal object materializes out of nothing, a warship. Measuring over 300 meters long and over 60 meters wide, at the bow, along the central axis, a thick, long-barreled main cannon protrudes from the armor. The hull is blue-black, and beneath the central armor layer, he can see a high-speed rail. Wrapping all the way around, 4 secondary cannon turrets are distributed along it, ready to cover every inch of the ship's surrounding airspace with fire. As soon as she appears, 4 yellow tractor beams unspool from her belly and lock onto his mine. Overlord Type 2. Suddenly, his sensors and communicator flatline in a storm of static. he knows what this means. She's scattering Minovsky particles in a small radius, blocking out everything in the area except optical signals. These Minovsky particles have a rest mass close to zero. Once scattered across a battlefield, they render nearly every form of modern wireless and target-seeking technology completely useless inside the cloud except for visible light and optical communication inside a mining district. Already shielded from outside detection by celestial noise, this cloud might as well be a sealed coffin. But get this, she is here, he thinks, his heart jolting even though he knew this was coming. Exactly like in his last life, this warship, while being chased, fled into this asteroid belt mining district to hide, and she found him right on cue. He performs the perfect reactions, astonishment first, then quickly calming down, adjusting sensors and communicators while pulling on a space suit. The three motions are executed in one smooth sequence. When those first attempts fail, he does not panic, refusing to bother with his pitiful miniature laser gun. Because that thing cannot scratch a mining hole, let alone the armor on the wall in front of him. He leaves the console and shuts down his mine overlord Type 2's thruster engines, signaling that he is harmless and completely surrenders. Do as you please. It looks like absolute despair, but it is no death sentence. If she wanted him dead, she would not bother with the tractor beams. She would have lobbed a few secondary cannon shots right through him, turning the mine overlord Type 2 and its pilot into a permanent cloud of dust. He masks his face. He wears 30% confusion, 30% worry, and 40% pure excitement, no despair. The confusion is for her motive. The worry is for the unpredictable swing of fortune or disaster. The excitement is his chance to touch a mysterious warship that is clearly far superior to the everyday patrol fleets his auxiliary system has already projected. The warship's stats quietly in the corner of his eye. Class E. Seed destroyer status with 88% growth potential. He reads the data and takes a breath. The tense situation holds for a moment. Then the belly armor plates slide to either side as the hatch swings wide. Last time in his deep anxiety, it felt like an eternity had passed. This time, remaining calm. With barely a ripple of worry, he times it carefully. 89 seconds, not even 90 seconds. The enemy's urgency is far greater than he imagined, likely because his failing health no longer allows for any delay. Tractor beams pull the entire mine overlord Type 2 up into the warship, allowing him to breathe easier. So far, every single beat is landing exactly where it should. The hatch closes. Two armed security robots appear outside the mine overlord Type 2 hull. Standing slightly taller than humans, their shimmering silver skeletons are packed with various heavy weapons. They are the standard interior security model. He even recognizes the model, Taurian Type 3 armed robots released 40 years ago, worth 6.5 million each. Their main advantage is a highly sophisticated combat artificial intelligence. Their fatal flaw, however, is an exposed skeleton lacking outer armor plates, making them vulnerable to high-powered weapons. But this is certainly no time for him to show off his technical knowledge. He obediently opens the hatch of the mine overlord Type 2, stepping out to face the close surveillance of the two metal guards. They are armed with internal burst cannons, deadly suppression weapons designed to shred unarmored targets. There is no time to inspect the cargo bay. As soon as the warship secures him, glowing green arrows light up the floor. The two heavy robots escort him onto a metallic disc about 1.5 meters wide. Along the rim, a faint red magnetic field quickly locks the three of them in place. The platform lifts and glides swiftly along the warship's cold corridors, passing 3 more hallways in 4 compartments, before stopping at a circular armored isolation door. The command deck. He quietly murmurs the brain of the ship. 5 seconds later, the armored seal slides open. He steps inside without any hesitation. The hatch seals behind him, and honestly, even knowing what to expect, the sight inside still forces him to pause. A battered, middle-aged man in black uniform lies slumped in the massive commander's chair. A hovering silver-white medical drone floats directly over his broken body, trying to maintain life support. Its green operational light and red emergency warning indicators are both flashing continuously. The man doesn't stir at the sound of footsteps. Only a faint, wheezing voice offers a strained apology, explaining his critical condition makes movement nearly impossible, asking him to come closer. He walks up to the chair. The commander's left eye is a ruined, bloody socket, and a deep gash reveals white bone above his swollen right eye. which barely squeezes open. Worse still, a wicked black dagger is buried deep in his chest, sunk to the very hilt with medical lasers and surgical arms working frantically. He tells the man it is an absolute miracle he is still conscious, since a blade buried that deep, even if it missed the heart center, must have destroyed over half of his cardiac tissue. He still doesn't understand why since he was invited here like this, he suggests they get straight to the point, bowing slightly. Displeasure slips into his tone as he speaks. The other man just curls his lips into a savage smile, explaining it is a military stimulant from the Leviston civilization, keeping him awake for up to an hour unless his head is severed. The young miner says if they can find a hospital quickly, there might still be some hope. Then he looks around, scanning the cabin, but it is empty except for the dying soldier. 2 armed mechanical guards stand watch, but absolutely nobody else. He tells him not to look. There is absolutely nobody else on board, and the Jin family's brutal, heart-slaying dagger is not something any local clinic in this small place can fix. Shifting his head slightly, the dying man speaks in a soft whisper. The boy tells him if he needs a witness to his death, he should start speaking. He adds that he only hopes to be allowed to leave once the goal is achieved, since he is just an ordinary interstellar miner with no family, only his own goals and ideals to chase. The man calls him a highly interesting kid, but then delivers the bad news. He says it is totally useless, and he will likely never return to his previous normal life. He explains a dangerous killer from the elite Jin noble family of the Zhongwan star system is nearby. This guy eliminated 3 of their family members, placing himself on the Jin kill list. If they find the boy on board this ship, they will treat him as an accomplice and execute him. Without question, shaken, the young miner asks if he means that elite Jin family of the Zhongwan star system, famous for holding massive grudges and seeking bloody revenge. The dying man smiles and remarks that the kid actually knows his stuff. The Zhongwan Jin are notorious for a terrifying warning. If you touch even a blade of their grass, they will wipe out your entire household. Register. Intense, pure hatred fills the man's voice as he speaks the name of Zhongwan Jin. The young miner has definitely heard of them before. His star region belongs to the Zhaijing Kingdom, while the Zhongwan star system sits in the neighboring Gorse Federation, although both nations pretend to be completely different. Politically, they are built on the exact same corrupt skeleton, the Zhaijing privileged class wear fancy titles like Baron and Viscount, while the Gorse elites use a structured noble family ranking system. The Jin family is a high-ranking elite family of the Gorse Federation, and their terrible notoriety has spread deep into neighboring nations. There was once a case where a young Jin descendant was caught drugging a girls' academy student, and the girl's terrified companion did not dare report it, choosing to quietly take the traumatized victim away. But that night, the Jin boy felt he lost face, so he gathered his thugs, broke directly into the dorm, and abducted all 4 students from that room. None of those girls were ever seen again. The academy immediately escalated the matter to the federal ministry. Public outrage from students and teachers built into a massive roar, eventually alarming the entire federal parliament itself. Now get this, the Jin descendant was punished, but the academy's principal and 3 vice principals were soon locked up on totally made-up charges. And every single relative of those victims, spanning 3 generations out and across distant star systems, suffered mysterious tragic misfortunes, paralyzed, left crippled, even disfiguring a 1-year-old niece. The campaign was wide open. Right in the open, the mercenary foot soldiers were quickly handed over due to public outcry. Everyone in the Federation knew the mastermind, but without proof, nobody could touch the high-rank noble family behind it. Even out here in this backwater mining star region, he has heard their name. He understands, he tells him, seeing no other choice. His pupils constrict slightly and he nods. The middle-aged man sits up with difficulty, the strain pulling at the dressing across his chest. He tells him he took a direct hit to the heart from Zhongwan Jin's heart-piercing dagger. Only a body close to advanced body refinement kept him alive long enough to inject a stimulant. He warns him that knowing the Jin family's habits is good, as it will save him a lot of time, but he should take them far more seriously, because they will always be more vicious, more shameless, and more depraved than he can picture. He nods slightly, letting the advice sink in, while inwardly he cannot disagree. In his last life, he never paid the Jin family the Respect they earned. He tried, but his reach was short and his focus split, and that gap is what eventually killed him. Next, the man passes judgment, saying his performance has been impressive, the quick self-rescue when the mutation hit, his calm assessment and his composure under a force he cannot oppose. Young men like him are rare even among the privileged class. He bows his head. Fraction and tells him he flatters him, that he still has much to learn, and as an example, he asks how his warship suddenly appeared at his side. He twitches what passes for a smile, and tells him his name is Huan Suo and his ship, the one underneath them, is the battle axe, a seed warship, and how should he address him, young brother? He bows again, giving his name as Wang Dong then. Asks whether the battle axe's earlier performance came from a shipborne module. He pauses at that, eyes sharpening through the pain, and tells him it is rare for someone in such a remote place to know about seed warships and that his ambitions cannot be simple. He crosses his arms and lets out a soft sigh, telling him seed warships are the symbol of the highest military power. In human civilization, the martial foundation, the privileged class rules from, and that owning one has always been his dream. He grins again, weaker this time, and tells him to congratulate himself. His dream is about to come true. He frowns and asks what he means, already knowing every syllable that is coming. He tells him it is exactly what he suspects. He is about to die. The two of them are the only people aboard. Before he goes, he will transfer commander authority to him, and he will become the next commander of the battle axe. The persona, he reminds himself, hold the persona. He gives him a bitter smile and asks if he can refuse. He says obviously not, then admits he is curious about his reasoning, as he does not want to leave with the question unanswered, so he shakes his head with the bitter smile still on his face, telling him he has his own plans to mine for several years, saving enough to leave this country for the Federation and get into one of the academies with the friendliest paths for commoners to graduate well and earn a seed warship through sponsorship. He gives himself at least a 30% chance, he says, and a seed warship. Getting the warship handed to him now would save him 20 years of climbing, and of course, he is tempted, incredibly tempted, but it is just too sudden and he is unprepared. In strength and most of all in his background, one Suho falls silent. Inwardly, Wang Dong knows what he is really telling him. If the old man dies and he inherits the battle axe, the Jin family will not let him live any more than they let him. And any other power that catches wind of a commoner with a seed warship will strike. Within the same week, background, influence, and qualifications, a simple interstellar miner from the wrong side of the starfield has absolutely none of the three. In his past life, he learned that lesson the hard way. This time, he wants one to see him weighing the risks. The old captain remains quiet for a moment, then nods slowly, telling him it was a total lack of consideration on his part, forgetting a kid like him does not live in the same world. He has been commanding the battle axe since he was 30, he says, roaming the stars for 70-some years, and has long forgotten what life is like for a planetary resident. He uses the term gently, not as an insult, but as a neutral phrase for ordinary folks who never leave their planet, like a frog at the bottom of a well. Fittingly, he calls himself the young miner's elder brother, saying he is older and has seen far more. Noting that while Wang Dong is smart and knows more than most, his exposure is still limited, he pulls himself upright against the pilot chair's harness and explains he has been at war with the Jin family for decades while staying free. He boasts that the bounty on his head soared every year, yet they could never trap him. It took them tracking down a crewmate's family, using bribes and threats, and finding a traitor on the ship to finally corner him. The reason the Jin family failed for so long, one explains, was not luck or the battle axe's raw firepower. It was the ship's true inheritance, the special utility function modules his ancestors gathered while roaming the stars, the very things the Jin family has always coveted. The young miner asks with fake surprise what an additional module even is, acting as if he thought all modules were just standard shipboard equipment. One chuckles weakly, explaining that shipboard modules are split into standard and additional types, adding that the battle axe's computer has the full record for him to read later. Wang Dong lets realization wash over his face, then shakes his head and admits there is still one prerequisite he is not sure about, as far as he knows. Claiming captaincy of a seed warship requires fusing with the core shipboard tinder inside, and the success rate of that fusion is incredibly low without a high-level body Refinement technique he has never even been allowed to learn. The captain shakes his head weakly, explaining that this fusion success rate only applies to first generation seed warships. Transferring captain authority bypasses that completely, requiring neither the Tinder fusion check nor the refinement level. It is guaranteed to succeed. Wang Dong nods, a daze in his eyes. The persona is everything. He has to look capable enough to inherit the massive battle axe, yet not so smart that the captain wonders how he knows secrets a common miner should never know. One tells him to study the details later, promising it will be a major surprise, though impatience is creeping into his voice now. The young miner agrees to follow his lead with just enough reluctance. He then adds that he is ready to hear any other instructions, knowing there must be more. After all, the captain did not arrange this. Thinking he would just hand over his ship for free was incredibly naive. It would get him killed. Very well, the old captain says, villains first and gentlemen later. His voice fades right on cue. The wheel-shaped medical drone hovering above him glides over. It stops directly in front of Wang Dong. From one of its mechanical arms, a dark green needle extends. He holds perfectly still, letting the syringe slide into his arm. This is a Wan family secret medicine, the captain tells him softly. No need to explain its effects. It takes 1 year. The antidote sits sealed inside the captain's cabin, with the unlock conditions programmed into the optical computer. Wang Dong must eliminate a direct descendant of the Jin family, and the computer will confirm the kill. The captain will lock this condition permanently with his authority, so no future captain can ever rewrite it. This medicine, as a family trump card, has absolutely no antidote available on the open market. Wang Dong lets worry show on his face, pointing out the Jiang Wan star system is incredibly far away. Besides, the Jin family direct descendants control massive resources, piloting top-grade SE-class warships. He fears he won't find a suitable target in such a short time. The captain tells him not to worry. The Jin family descendant who set this deadly trap on him, a man named Sama Dejo, is still hunting in this starfield. He won't leave. His profile is already loaded into the ship's computer database. He is the perfect target. From the captain's angle, it is standard procedure. Threatening him with a slow burning poison is the only way to ensure he actually carries out the mission. He is binding Wang Dong with a blood pledge. And since Sama Dejo caused his death, personal revenge is neatly folded in. Whether it is reasonable or if Wang Dong might die trying does not matter to a dying man with only hours left. Wang Dong is no clan junior. He is simply the last vessel of his hate. In his past life, he resented this. But this time there is no anger. To gain something, you must pay a price. And a seed warship is the cleanest ticket out of the gutter he will ever find. He calmly accepts the terms, telling the captain the condition is fair. It is a genuine promise. With decades of reading people and the sharp senses of a master, he can easily tell the difference between a lie and a true vow. The captain smiles. Very good, he says. Fate has not abandoned him completely. Before dying, he has found a worthy owner for the battle axe. He forces himself upright, waving off Wang Dong's hand, and announces in a loud, commanding voice the immediate transfer of captain authority to the human standing before him. Wang Dong, the battle axe's computer, responds in a soft, electronic voice, processing the transfer of captain authority now, confirming Wan Xiu as issuer and verifying the secure environment, confirming Wang Dong as recipient and requesting the final confirmation. Wan Xiu enunciates each syllable, confirming the order with deep reluctance, mixed with relief, carrying a lifetime of unfulfilled dreams. The optical computer reports the order confirmed, congratulating him as the third captain of the battle axe. Wang Dong stands there as the verification process completes, and the absolute weight of this moment begins to settle. This is the ultimate turning point, his first real step out of the bottom-tier swamp. This is only the beginning. Last time, he started at this exact rung and failed. Within weeks, he crashed, but this time, he is determined to reach the very top. Once the captain authority transfers, he gains command of the 2 flanking security robots. Still, that is barely any comfort. An expert like Suho, even on his deathbed, possesses intermediate body refinement, meaning he could easily crush the boy like an ant. 2 robots are no real shield. He quietly asks if there is anything else to entrust. Suho nods with deep satisfaction, asking for one final favor before he passes away. He wants his final hours on the battle axe undisturbed, allowing his soul to fuse. He readily agrees, but quickly adds that since the battle axe is still actively pursued, he must start reviewing the legacy data to find an escape path, noting that in his past life, he never dared to ask. Back then, he waited politely for the captain to die before touching the controls. But during that wasted wait, the hostile Jin family search warships swept dangerously close. They were close enough to spot the anomaly, while the Mirage system was on cooldown. Relying on pure terrain knowledge, he played hide and seek with the enemy. He barely managed to survive until the Mirage system cooled, letting him vanish again. By that point, the battle axe was so heavily damaged, it lost all tactical initiative. He refuses to let that happen again. Suho pauses, acknowledging him as the new captain. He admits it is his right, admitting the boy's ability to adapt is deeply impressive. He lets out a long, quiet sigh, having firmly grasped the first note of fate. The exact moment the captain authority settles into his mind, everything feels different. A crisp electronic notification echoes in his head, confirming the carrier is acquired. A system self-check runs in the background, and after a short beat, it completes. The vessel is qualified, and the core system functions are officially activated. Glowing lines of mysterious script flow directly through the interface in his head. The Warship Game Auxiliary System, the ultimate cheat he has waited for, is online. Resident Function 2, the high-speed human-machine data interaction, is now fully active. He feels a warm, burning flame inside the battle axe reach out to clasp his mind. The spiritual tinder establishes a link, letting him sense the ship like his own body. When he focuses, the complete structural schematic and every single module's status roll cleanly into his mind like a passing thought, whole tables of complex data that would normally take 10 seconds to read aloud arrive in a single instant. A captain with this auxiliary system and one without are completely different species. He runs a quick query for basic ship data, and the panel rolls in showing the ship. It is a sea destroyer with level 2 main cannons, level 2 armor, and level 2 engines. The survey radar is level 1, the hull is level 0, and the shield is level 2, making the overall ship rating sea destroyer level 6. Remaining source points sit at 12, with an acquisition rate of 25%. Additional modules like the flying speed jump device are still at level 0. The quantum brain wave control and Mirage systems are also at level 0. Current armor damage stands at 38%, while hull damage is at 4%. Showing the burns, main cannon ammo sits at 123 rounds. Secondary ammo is 2298, with life support at 393. In his past life, it took him weeks just to learn how to read these status panels. Now they instantly project into his mind, though this high-speed link has a cost. Just as before, every massive data stream demands a physical toll on his body. Permanent Function 1 burns through his energy when active, meaning he cannot keep it. Running for long stretches, saving it only for combat while working the ship normally. Meanwhile, the other system functions have completely rearranged themselves now that the system is fully online, with optional Function 1 being heterospace. Signal capture costing him 1 low-grade energy crystal for every single use. Optional Function 2 doubles module growth value across various module qualities, requiring different grades of energy crystals, while Optional Function 3 allows module characteristic self-selection, also keyed to crystal grades. The advanced tier offers 2 more, starting with double source points acquisition, activated by a single unit of advanced energy crystals, and advanced Function 2 being the removal of heterospace civilization level limits, which also requires advanced energy crystals. These crystals are incredibly rare and brutally expensive, but he doesn't need them yet, plus Wan Xiu is still watching to keep his companion from noticing anything strange about his manual inputs. He switches over to voice mode, calling up basic ship data on the main screen. The basic optical computer immediately obliges, harboring zero intelligence behind its cold screen and showing no suspicion toward a captain repeating queries. He taps the damage panel to open details. The main hull burn is located at the stern near the engine nozzles, showing several patches glaring red for severe damage. Fortunately, everything else is green. Sustained during the wild pursuit, hull damage at 4% is basically nothing. It is below any threshold. He enables silent navigation, ordering the battle axe to slowly creep toward a new coordinate while tapping the radar screen on the left. Strategic repositioning is the immediate priority. Staying in one spot for too long last time allowed the Jin family to pin him down. By the time he finally managed to squirm free, his armor suffered 85% damage, and his hull was at 56, leaving the ship a total wreck. It had lost most of its integrity. He only let Wan Xiu talk to buy this exact window. Honestly, the Battle Axe's optical computer is in a whole different league from his old Mine Overlord Type 2. Even inside this chaotic asteroid belt, automatic navigation works perfectly without him ever needing to touch the physical controls. He inputs the destination, and the 4 directional engines instantly coordinate with the main engine in microbursts, threading the vessel gently past the massive obstacles and deeper into the field. Its thick armor easily shrugs off small meteorite impacts that would completely shred a standard mining ship. Having heavy protection gives him room to play risky. He keeps the energy shield down to save power, as running it outside combat is too expensive, selecting miniature disposable probes and deploying over a dozen of them, anchoring them to the surrounding space rocks from across the dim cabin. Wan Xiu's remaining eye flickers with a curious glimmer as he asks if the young captain has ever piloted a warship before. Turning back with a shy smile, he lies, claiming to be a major fan of the virtual game Journey to the Stars, boasting 2,400 hours of total playtime and nearly 12,200 matches on a novice ship with a win rate above 50%. He delivers this with slight self-satisfaction, playing the part of a kid showing off. After all, Journey to the Stars is a massively popular holographic real-time strategy game. With a simulation accuracy touching 85%, players can step into the boots of a warship captain commanding their vessel in solo duels or massive fleet campaigns. The game was developed by a massive tech conglomerate at the edge of a distant starfield backed by rumored deep-pocketed forces, its incredible reach extending even into a remote mining zone like the KQ-03 starfield says everything about its immense pull. In his past life, he treasured this rare window into military technology, pouring endless hours into the simulation, even though playing it required a specialized pod at the major internet cafes, eating up his hard-earned mining wages every week. Still, for such a realistic game, a player's record truly reflected their basic grasp of a standard warship and basic tactical maneuvers. Huan Xiu rasps out a sigh, muttering that it is better than nothing. He shrugs, explaining that since the ruthless enemy is still hot on their trail, they cannot afford to linger anywhere. Honestly, who can blame him for playing it safe? He feels forced to keep fighting forward. Huan Xiu shifts slightly on his cot, turning to face him and noting that caution is a vital trait to help him evade the ruthless Jin family hunters. But then, the old man raises a lingering doubt, asking why the secret medicine inside him requires him to destroy a Jin warship to deliver the cargo. The young man offers a wry smile, admitting he is not foolish enough to believe playing a game makes him a real captain. Right now, he would not even dare to pilot the vessel alone, let alone fight in it. Familiarizing himself with the ship and practicing the basics must come first. As the ancient saying goes, know your enemy and know yourself to win every battle, he notes, but currently he knows neither. Rushing into a hasty battle under these terms means certain defeat. Huan Xiu relaxes on his back, admitting the young man has his head on straight and feels a little more optimistic about his prospects now. The youth laughs, noting the elder has been consistently pessimistic about him. Huan Xiu shakes his head, replying that it is because he does not understand how dangerous the Jin family really is. They will use any underhanded means necessary, even after decades of dealing with them. The old man fell into the very trap he despised once his bounty climbed, and direct descendants joined the hunt. If that happened to a veteran like him, how much worse will it be for a young man like him? Man proposes, God disposes, he mutters, and lets out a heavy, bitter sigh. The young captain wants to nod in agreement. In his past life, was he not exactly like this, hunted with nowhere left to run? But he must maintain his facade. He needs to project confidence, or the old veteran will not entrust the last hope of his line to him. He explains his plan is to stay outside the Jin family's line of sight entirely. Even powerful forces have blind spots, and they currently have no idea he exists, as long as he does not show himself to their eyes. Who would ever suspect the new captain of the Battle Axe is a mere mining ship laborer? Huan Xiu nods, his expression shifting, and concedes it makes some sense. Coupled with the ship's extra modules, the plan is not Impossible, only highly improbable. A veteran familiar with the battle axe might pull it off, but a rookie like him is different. The elder reserves judgment. He asks why the battle axe only carries a single main cannon, and why, even with 4 secondary cannons, there are only 5 weapons in total. Is the firepower not too weak? Huan Xiu shakes his head and chuckles, asking if the rookie completely misunderstands the very nature of a warship. Yuan Shu tells Wang Dong that only a rookie would think a ship needs dozens of main cannons. Hearing himself called a rookie, Wang Dong blinks with practiced embarrassment and simply watches the old man. He stays silent, watching with curious eyes as Yuan Shu starts explaining the mechanics. In low-tier civilizations, a warship's attack power always far exceeds its defensive capabilities. A small electromagnetic gun can shred armor, and even a 1-meter asteroid can cause fatal damage. Because of this, carrying more weapons is the only way for a ship to grow stronger. But as civilizations advance, defense is no longer the bottleneck holding warships back. Instead, defense overtakes offense, and seed warships deploy energy shields right from the start. Once these shields are active, any attack below a certain threshold is completely absorbed. Only attacks exceeding that threshold can actually wear down the shield. In this environment, bolting on extra main cannons becomes entirely pointless. Without massive individual striking power, they might as well just be expensive decorations. True attack strength is what matters, but higher power demands immense energy. Since a ship's energy output has a hard limit, the math forces a choice. The standard becomes fewer but far superior weapons, backed by basic auxiliary guns. A couple of high-rate secondary cannons are plenty to handle smaller threats. As the ship's structure gets reinforced, their power scales up without dragging the vessel down. Most importantly, the ship's core tinder has a strict capacity limit. Standardized warships fused with the tinder are locked to a single main cannon slot. Absolutely nothing can change that rule, making Wang Dong look up in sudden comprehension. By now, the battle axe has drifted incredibly far from their original coordinates. He stares at the radar for a moment, then reaches out to input a new destination. He orders the ship into silent running, turning to Yuan Shu with a serious look. He explains that the more he thinks about their situation, the more suspicious things feel. The battle axe released Minovsky particles earlier, and they will not dissipate anytime soon. Those lingering particles will heavily restrict any local radar and communication signals. However, the massive particle cloud itself is extremely easy to spot. The absolute second the Jin family arrives in this sector, they will detect it. While the dense asteroid belt cuts radar range, their enemies might have high-end equipment. So it's better to slip further away, making Yuan Shu chuckle in amusement. He tells Wang Dong his chances of survival just jumped by 30%. Wang Dong maintains a completely blank expression, knowing the old man is teasing his caution. But he doesn't call it cowardice, he calls it wisely following his survival instincts. Amused by these careful maneuvers, the veteran decides to share some basic warship knowledge. Hearing this, Wang Dong quietly raises an eyebrow in sheer surprise. This lecture never happened in his past life, since things went very differently. In his previous life, Yuan Shu died in that chair without saying a word. The butterfly effect is finally showing, and fortunately, it is working in his favor. The old man explains that their ancestors were once the seed fleet of a fallen empire. Knowing exactly what that means, Wang Dong nods as the old man continues. When a civilization faces destruction, it launches a fleet to preserve its legacy. After fleeing for over 1,000 years, their ancestors stumbled upon ancient ruins. This prehistoric supercivilization held a massive legacy they slowly unraveled. Eventually, they won the rights to utilize a mystical creation known as the seed source. Fusing human tech with extracted tinder, their power evolved. Seed warships are born from specialized seed sources mounted on specific vessel structures. Huan Xiu's gaze grows distant and reverent, making the young captain drift off too. He has heard fragments of human civilization history before, but this is different. He never knew the true origins of seed warships. Nobody shared this background with him. Not even in his past life, Huan Xiu continues, explaining that normally creations from different civilizations are totally incompatible because their technology trees wildly diverge, ripping a main cannon off one species warship. Bolting it onto another only happens in wild fantasy novels. The captain nods. Even different countries on Earth used inconsistent screw sizes. Between two interstellar civilizations, the technological gap is an absolute canyon, where one uses screws and another uses bioglue, but seed warships are different. Huan Xiu explains, through their unique module slots, even technology, built by entirely separate civilizations, can actually run normally. It is an incredible feat, and that is only the beginning. The older man says with rising excitement. The young captain silently nods. Just that single trait is mind-blowing. Huan Xiu explains the next part. With absolute lifelong passion, module slots are split into standard and additional categories. Every seed warship has a fixed number of standard slots. Take a destroyer class. It starts with only 5 initial standard slots. That is a main cannon, armor, engine, radar, and energy shield, 1 each. Additional slots vary wildly, depending entirely on the quality and level of the ship, starting with anywhere from 1 to 3 slots. Upgrading the hull unlocks even more, but overall these slots are always highly limited and scarce, yet every single shipborne module grants reality-bending abilities, defying common sense, which is honestly wild. Of course, you cannot just force any random alien technology into a seed slot. Huan Xiu warns him about specific requirements. The young captain has no idea what those conditions actually are. In his past life, he spent every single day running from enemies, completely skipping any formal education. He only knows it involves mystic rules, which makes perfect sense. The shipborne Tinder operates on those exact same mystic laws, just like the very existence of seed warships. If science could explain it, it would not be mystical anymore. Fortunately, Huan Xiu is in a great mood today, and his prestigious family legacy means he knows secrets standard captains could never access. Seizing the opportunity, our captain asks him about these modules. What kind of alien creations can actually be slotted as shipborne modules? Surely there must be limits. Huan Xiu does not mind the interruption. He explains there is a strict threshold. Only creations recognized by the shipborne Tinder can be mounted. As for the precise conditions required, nobody has a concrete answer, even within the Amethyst Kingdom. Dozens of research schools constantly argue about it, but one major point is universally agreed upon: items that embody a deep belief, a powerful spirit, or raw, painstaking craftsmanship have a much higher compatibility rate. The young captain immediately commits this crucial secret to memory. Having an ancient noble lineage truly comes with incredible hidden advantages. Seeing him ask no follow-ups, he continues, compatibility is one major exclusive feature of these seed warships, but if that were all, they would not be the foundation human civilization stands on. The second key feature is growth potential. Wang Dong's spirit lifts. This is where his auxiliary system earns its keep, he explains, relying solely on the uniqueness of the shipborne Tinder. When a seed warship detects a particular spatial signal, it uses that Tinder to enter an alien space outside the prime universe. Years of research more or less confirm that the alien space is indeed a completely separate universe entirely. When a warship fights inside, destroying alien space creations or killing alien space life forms, both yield source points, a mysterious resource. Source points combined with minerals and other materials let them reinforce and upgrade their mounted shipborne modules, accelerating combat power growth far beyond the rate one would gain by simply awaiting civilization tier advances. Combine compatibility with growth potential, and every seed warship is a divine weapon with infinite ceiling. As humanity acquired more of these divine weapons, the gains fed back into human civilization itself, which is the exact reason why their civilization continues to grow much stronger. Glory to the seed warships, glory to human civilization, he says, patting the seed below him with feeling. Wang Dong is slightly moved. As a transmigrator, he remains human, and watching a prospering human civilization still feels like a real place to belong. Every seed warship has its own uniqueness, he explains, especially after reinforcement to a certain level. One almost never finds two that are exactly the same. However, due to the hard cap on source points acquisition rate, no seed warship can be reinforced infinitely. Source points acquisition rate is simply put the efficiency at which a seed warship gathers source points. The first generation rate is 100%, but every single time captain authority transfers, the rate is halved. Second captain 50%, third 25%, and so on. This is actually a measure of how pure the shipborne Tinder still is, and every captain it fuses with only serves to contaminate it a little more. In practice, if a first-generation ship sinks an enemy warship from a heterospace civilization for one full source point, a second generation gets a quarter. Wang Dong smiles bitterly now. When the battle axe was in his hands, it was a second-generation ship at 50% passed. Down to him it is third generation, 25%. He suffered before. At least it is not fourth generation, because below the third generation, Seed warship has so little growth potential left that it gets used as a mere tool ship, and nothing more. Source points are not even straightforward to earn, he continues. First, the conditions to enter heterospace are harsh. They must be in vast and complete cosmic void, because only in those incredibly clean astronomical environments can the Tinder pick up the spatial signal at all. Capturing the signal itself is fully random. The signals appear briefly, disappear extremely quickly, and pop up in different places with no pattern. A captain might go 2 or 3 years without seeing one, or hit 2 or 3 in a month. Long-term statistics put the average at 1.8 signals per ship yearly. Wang Dong smiles. After his legendary auxiliary system was finally and officially activated, the very first optional function on his list was heterospace signal capture, and by burning a single low-grade energy. With this crystal, he can help the shipboard Tinder pull a signal out of the void. Best of all, this capture does not need any specific astronomical environment. He does not have to drift in an empty cosmic void for a year waiting on luck. He can open a heterospace battlefield anywhere he pleases. The strategic value is immense. One Suho curls his lip and tells him directly. He likes his confident expression. Apparently, every young person believes they are the protagonist of destiny. He misreads this raw confidence as nothing but youthful arrogance. He shrugs helplessly, saying that in reality, everyone is the protagonist of their own destiny. Perhaps, one Suho says with a soft sigh before he moves on. Even after capturing a signal, the harvest is never easy. The seed warship drops randomly into the territory of some heterospace civilization, and their strength fluctuates based on the warship combat tier. To earn source points, the warship must destroy, making peaceful coexistence completely impossible. This kind of intercivilizational, interracial war is the cruelest there is. Every year, many seed warships are lost heterospace, leaving no wreckage behind. Wang Dong sighs. These heterospace battlefields are fought on hostile home ground, almost always outnumbered. This is real combat. Die in heterospace and you die for real. No game-style respawn dungeon. The number of seed warships humanity loses in heterospace each year exceeds the losses from expanding territory in their own universe. The heavy sentiment lasts only a moment. One Suho remembers something, switches gears, and warns him with sudden urgency about one critical point. For shipboard modules, the initial strengthening and upgrades only require source points and common minerals, but as the levels rise, the rarity of required minerals climbs steeply, and after the privileged class first rose to power, they consciously cornered the market on those rare minerals. By now, the privileged class effectively monopolizes the supply. Since he does not come from a privileged background, he cannot easily get those minerals. It will be a difficult problem to solve. Wang Dong nods solemnly. The privileged class keeps its monopoly on high-end military power by keeping seed warships within the first 3 generations, strictly forbidding the spread of rare resources. To commoners, talk about a rigged system. In this brutal interstellar era, class advancement is far harder than it was back on Earth. For the commoner class, no matter how much money they make, they cannot legally obtain controlled resources like a first-generation seed warship, utility ships. Beyond the 3rd generation are their absolute ceiling. After laying out the basics, one Suho feels his energy visibly drain, his voice filled with melancholy. He tells him the battle axe is actually the most ordinary seed warship his family ever owned. Once, the one family was caught in a sudden catastrophe, with the Jin family joining several major powers to wipe their entire lineage out completely. All 10 of the enhanced seed warships his family owned were besieged and sunk. As the last direct bloodline, one Suho inherited part of a family legacy, spending his life struggling against the powerful Jin family. But the battle axe is far from powerful, and he had no heavenly talent. His so-called struggle was at best an annoying fly buzzing around the Jin family. Family heads, little brother Wang Dong, Wan Suho tells him, once you neutralize The secret medicine, try to live under an assumed name in a distant land and see if you can escape the Jin family's sight. They are too powerful, Wang Dong's heart skips. Even now, with breath running out, the old fox is still testing him. In his past life, he read the logs in detail on the optical computer, knowing the depth of his hatred for the Jin family, every blood-soaked sentence of it. He would never waste his last breath on the kind words of a dying man. If that were really his desire, why not just lift the secret medicine off him on the way out? The door. This is one more test. He does not know what failing it costs, but he does not want to find out. Walking 100 miles, 90 is only halfway. He has to push through this last critical stretch. He tells him solemnly that given the Jin family's nature, from the moment he became captain of the battle axe, there is no basis for coexistence between them. Perhaps to him now, the Jin family is irresistibly powerful, but precisely because of their power, there is no room for compromise, even if he personally found the Jin family and handed over the battle axe. Given their style, there is no scenario in which they let him go. Only one where they wonder what other Wan family legacies he is still hiding. He has no desire to die in a Jin family dungeon. He pauses, choosing his next words carefully, and continues that he will not claim he will destroy the Jin family because that would be too boastful, but there is no doubt they are his enemy, that he will make good use of the battle axe and do his best to grow stronger, and one day, when the opportunity arises, he will bring grievous losses to the Jin family. He believes it, he guarantees it, telling him. And he will give it everything. Wan Suho is quiet for a long time, then says he believes Wang Dong is a smart young man who will pick the path most useful to himself. One last thing, beware of the Jin family. His energy is spent, that is all the rest of the intel he needs, including the battle axe's past combat tactics, is loaded into the optical computer, and there was not enough time to organize it cleanly, so he will have to bear with the mess. He nods silently. The conversation ends. He feels a small ease in his chest. That should have been Wan Suho's final test, and although it never happened in his last life, he handled it well this time. But the battle axe has not yet shaken its tail. Before the conversation, he had already moved the ship's hiding spot twice. After it ends, he keeps moving. Talk about extreme caution. For 10 hours, it is the same routine. Over, the vibe of this spot seems a bit better, he murmurs. The battle axe relocates. This spot looks quite pleasing to the eye, he murmurs. The battle axe relocates. This one feels just right, he murmurs. The battle axe is still relocating. The battle axe continues to relocate. The battle axe keeps relocating. The battle axe is always relocating until at one point he looks back and finds Wan Suho no longer has any breath left. Only then does he stop muttering. He bows his head in front of the still body, saying in line with his last wishes that he will send his remains into the battle axe's engine room, where his body will turn to ash in the reactor and his soul may merge with the ship. He observes a minute of silence. Whatever else he did, Wan Suho handed him the key that opened the gates of destiny. Gratitude is owed, he tells him. He promises to handle the rest, whether it is settling the score with the Jin family or honoring the kindness of the one family's gift. He vows to do his best, summoning 2 armed robots to personally take care of the remains. When it is finally done, he breathes a sigh of relief, rubbing his face hard. His cheeks are stiff. Talk about a stellar actor. Acting like a rookie is not easy. He walks back to the command cabin, dropping into the commander's seat with a highly practiced, effortless motion. Just like a man who has done it 1,000 times, his back snapping naturally straight. In a heartbeat, the whole cabin shifts several degrees colder, a few degrees more dangerous. This is the aura he built over more than 10 years of serving as a captain and fighting between life and death in his past life, and the chair calls it out of him without asking. It is a pure body instinct now, which is exactly why he did not dare sit in the seat earlier. Thankfully, Wuho never grew suspicious. Being trapped in a confined cabin with a man who could squash him at will is not an experience he would ever choose, and he had too many cards he could not afford to show. Holding back for those hours was hard. He runs his hand gently along the armrest. Back at last. Ever since rebirth, he has kept the string in his mind pulled tight. Rebirth was a gift. Sure, but if he could not secure the battle axe the way he did last time, that gift would lose most of its meaning. The entire arc of his past career was bound to this ship. If she were cut out of his future, he would not know which direction to walk in. From the moment he stepped aboard, he restrained himself and only With Wanu Ho dead, can he finally let his true captain persona shine through fully? The clumsy mining rookie act is gone now. He sinks into the underlying database the way a veteran captain does, not the brief query he ran in front of Huan Su Ho, but the full, detailed read. The battle axe reads as a sea destroyer with a comprehensive combat rating of level 6, remaining source points of 12. Source point acquisition rate of 25%. Standard main cannon is green at level 2, max attack strength of 23, charge time of 10 seconds, recharge. Buffer of 50 seconds, kinetic attack attribute, and an upgrade requirement of 200. Source points and 3 tons of copper ore. Standard armor is green quality at level 1, a defense strength of 11, alloy material, resisting kinetic particle and laser attacks at 11% each, and mystic at 0, upgrade requirement of 200 source points and 20 tons of ethereal titanium ore. Standard energy shield is at level 2 with durability of 130, regen rate of 1.22 energy. Consumption of 1 point per second, activation speed of 20 seconds, overload. Buffer of 60 minutes, magnetic field type, upgrade requirement of 100 source points and 3 tons of iron ore. Standard engine is at level 2, max. Power 22, energy consumption 1 unit per hour, upgrade needs 100. Source points and 3 tons of gas ore. Standard sky survey radar at level 1. Exploration range of 10, precision of 10, upgrade of 100 source points and 2 tons of orichalcum copper ore. Standard hull structure is green at level 0. Strength of 20, 3 additional module slots, seed compatibility of 48%. Upgrade of 2,000 source points and 1 unit of titanium crystals. The additional modules read out next. Flying speed jump device, purple quality level 0, energy consumption 100 per use, warp speed 100 times the speed of light. It requires a 1-hour charge and a 24-hour buffer with the added attribute of rapid warp, distances within 0.1 light years ignore. Warp times to arrive instantly with a separate 24-hour buffer. Upgrades cost 400 source points and 1 unit of titanium crystals. Quantum entanglement brainwave control system, green quality level 0, consuming 1 unit per hour, letting the commander control the warship remotely through brainwaves up to 0.01 light years. Upgrading costs 200 source points and 1 ton of gas ore. The gold quality level 0 Mirage system takes 100 units. Each time it has a 1-hour charge, 24-hour duration, and 24-hour buffer. Additional attributes of the Mirage system put the warship into a stealth state with high concealment rated at 60. Upgrades require 500 source points and 2 units of titanium crystals. Current supplies sit at 123 cannon rounds, 2298 energy, and 393 life support units. It is the exact layout he remembers from his past life. 5 standard modules, including the cannon, armor, engine, radar, and energy shield, are the bones. The hull structure is a special module on top of them. The main structure itself acts as the carrier once it merges with the shipborne Tinder. A seed warship missing any of those 5 standard modules is basically a disabled ship, and its combat power suffers heavily. The 4 secondary cannons on the battle axe are not shipboard modules covered by the Tinder. They are just external equipment bound to the hull structure. Their growth directly tied to its reinforcement. Similar systems exist inside the hull structure too, like the tractor beam and gravity generation systems and life support gear. As the hull structure levels up, all of these improve. That is why hull structure upgrades demand so much more than ordinary modules. A typical green shipboard module takes 200 source points to upgrade, but the hull structure takes 10 times that amount. Normal green modules use cheap common minerals, but the hull structure demands rare materials like titanium crystals. Next come the additional modules. The battle axe currently runs 3, including the flying speed jump device, the quantum entanglement brainwave control system, and the Mirage system. They exactly fill the 3 additional slots. The brainwave control system and the Mirage systems come from the family's own heritage, while the flying speed jump device is a creation of an interdimensional civilization that Huan Su stumbled into while exploring a mysterious ruin in a heterospace battlefield. All of it is recorded in his captain's log. Of the standard modules, the secondary cannon, engine, and sky survey radar are marked in black, meaning they are unranked. Low-grade quality. The main cannon, armor, and hull structure are marked in Green meaning green quality, also known as good quality. It is a tier above. Unranked, their performance is better, and upgrading them with source points yields significantly larger gains than unranked modules. In his eyes, all 6 standard modules are pretty unremarkable. The real reason he wants this ship so badly is because of the 3 additional modules. First, the quantum entanglement brainwave. Control system is only green quality, but quietly indispensable if he is going to own the battle axe without ever letting the Jin family see his face. He needs to be able to operate the ship without sitting in the cabin around the clock. The optical computer can manage basic tasks, but when hunted, no chance. That requires a captain on station, especially with only one person aboard. That means him living on the ship full-time, always on duty. This glaring anomaly would easily get his identity exposed within a week. Fortunately, brainwave control lets him keep up his day job, just renting mining vessels on the surface while commanding the battle axe from anywhere. It is brilliant. Without this module, he would never have signed on as captain. Now look at the Mirage system. Above unranked modules sits green, then fine blue, then rare purple quality. Above purple sits gold, also known as hero quality. These gold tier shipborne modules are the true cornerstones of a hero's path. Every single one represents a massive power leap for a seed warship. The Mirage system is easily a stellar choice, even among gold modules. Its core operating principle remains completely unknown, the work of some mysterious civilization. Once activated, the entire warship immediately slips into a powerful stealth mode. Hiding with supreme concealment, standard space survey radars cannot detect her at all. Even better, this Mirage system has high priority, very hard to disrupt. The 60 in its description represents the detection accuracy, a crucial stat. Any radar system below 60 simply cannot break the cloak. Unbelievable threshold is remarkably high. The battle axe's own radar precision is only 10, excluding active weapon charging. Normal flight does not drain the stealth duration at all. It functions exactly like an assassin's cloaking skill, a perfect piece of life. Insurance, this Mirage system is the most valuable module on the entire ship, easily overshadowing the combined value of everything else. Next up is the flying speed jump device. It is a rare purple quality treasure, pure gold. Shipborne modules drops off exponentially, making any purple item extremely precious. Even for elite nobles, Baron Blackstone, the local lord of this mining sector, does not own a single purple module. So yes, this flying speed jump device is absolutely vital for both the battle axe and the captain. Engines are strictly limited to sublight speeds and cannot break the light barrier. Since vast cosmic distances are measured in light years, travel is impossible. Without a proper warp engine, real interstellar travel simply remains off the table. The battle axe's rare flying speed jump device reaches 100 times the speed of light, which delivers stellar performance for her size. Its extra secondary attribute is even more precious. Only blue quality modules or higher possess them. These attributes are often the core of any module. The rapid warp function on this speed jump device skips deep space cooldowns for jumps under 0.1 light years, granting the battle axe a near instant teleport on a 24-hour cooldown, paired with the stealth cloak. This is how the battle axe successfully outran the relentless Jin family so many times before. The Mirage system completely erases her tracks, even though the cloak drops when onboard weapons charge, restricting its use to ambush and stealth maneuvers. The speed jump device gives her instant relocation. Together, her escape capability is top tier. If not for an internal betrayal, the pilot Su could have kept running for years to come. These 2 extra modules alone already form the strong tactical skeleton of an unstoppable seed warship. Having a unique tactical system is the difference between fodder and elite. The battle axe's core is ready. Add a couple more modules and it is complete. But a real seed warship aiming for deep space needs much more. They must have faster than light travel to sail the sea of stars. And jump modules with system compatibility are extremely rare. They are worth their weight in gold, but the cost is brutal. Inside the module panel, the upgrade requirements are listed clearly. Source points are mandatory, and the higher the quality of the module, the more points it costs. The Mirage system needs 5 times the normal rate. But here is the catch. The second condition shows how insane this is. Common unranked modules can easily upgrade with cheap minerals. But high-quality modules require rare materials right from level 0. The dark titanium ore he mined before was already premium grade. It was already considered highly valuable among standard ores traded openly. Yet titanium crystals cost over 100 times more than dark titanium. Worse, they are not even sold on the public market right now. Both the Mirage and the Flying Steed jump device are on cooldown. Mirage has 11 hours left, while the jump device needs 7, Wan Suho. Used both in his final run, Wang Dong smiles at this exact moment in his previous life. He was clumsily commanding the battle axe under direct fire from the Jin family warship, pathetic, the only savior. Keeping him alive was knowing the complex asteroid belt and the system. He was desperately stalling for time, waiting for those cooldowns to end. This time he bypassed that entire disaster. Seriously, what a clean move. Is likely still searching blindly near the battle axe's last known position. That was where they hijacked his mining overlord. He had backup plans. After his rebirth, one option was to board the battle axe immediately and use future knowledge along with some lies to win Wan Suho's trust and avoid the secret medicine of the Jin family, but after thinking it through, he scrapped the entire idea. If Wan Suho got too impressed, he might raise expectations. He could change the antidote requirement to something far more dangerous, like demanding the total destruction of the entire Jin family. Or worse, replace the poison with a harsher soul binding. It was highly possible. So he went with the safest route, keeping variables to a minimum. He played dumb, let the ship pass to him, and retreated early. Just slightly sooner than before, that tiny head start made all the difference. It allowed him to sail the battle axe deep into the asteroid belt. Staying one step ahead completely concealed his escape from his enemies. And the ship took no damage. Normally, his next move would be to analyze every log file Wan Suho left behind on the system. In his past life, he studied them obsessively to make clean choices. But now, he does not need to analyze the ship's logs at all. 10+ years of direct warfare against the Jin family made him completely bone-deep familiar with every combat function. He could easily command her with his eyes closed. So far, everything is running incredibly smoothly. He successfully avoided direct contact with the Jin family warship. He figured all he needed to do was wait out 2 module cooldowns, then return to the Mine Overlord Type 2 and resume mining. That way, he could slip away completely from these intense events and remain a simple interstellar miner. The only lingering threat was whether the famously grudge-holding Jin family, highly frustrated at failing to locate the battle axe, would vent their rage on local miners. They did not even need a specific target, just a few random main cannon blasts, and the resulting chain reaction would trigger massive gravitational turbulence. A mining sector in that state was a total death trap where no basic ship could survive. He calculated this calmly, but after a long wait there was no movement. That danger could be officially ruled out. He stared intently at the small virtual screen on the right of the command deck, watching the custom feed he had pulled up for his deployed miniature detectors. 2 hours ago, those sensors finally sent their readings back. Dozen detectors, once the thick Minovsky particles in that area dispersed, sent back their observations. It was less than an hour after he ordered the battle axes strategic retreat when a seed warship, another destroyer class, appeared at their previous spot. It was definitely Sama Dejo. Certain telltale details gave his ship away. In his past life, this was the exact ship that ruthlessly crushed him as a rookie captain. Honestly, anyone in his shoes would be begging for immediate payback, but he was smart enough to know a direct clash right now was suicide. Sama Dejo was a direct descendant of the Jin family, backed by massive resources ordinary captains could never imagine. His flagship's overall rating sat above level 11 against the battle axe's level 6, a massive gap, in a direct shootout. The battle axe's main guns could not break his energy shields without landing 10 consecutive direct hits, while the battle axe's own shields could not survive 2 consecutive direct blasts from his cannons, but being unable to fight head-on did not mean he was entirely out of options. In his past life, even with the battle axe heavily damaged, once he temporarily shook the relentless pursuit, he racked his brains for days and found a solution. Relying on his deep familiarity with the asteroid environment, he found a perfect ambush zone. Gravitational storms were common. The asteroid belt, but certain quiet pockets of energy, remained perfectly balanced in internal equilibrium. they would never manifest until an external force crossed a certain threshold, triggering a violent surge. These hidden, highly volatile pockets of turbulence were what miners feared most. Fortunately, he located exactly such an area and seeded a massive net of space mines on nearby asteroids. At a safe distance, inside the thick asteroid belt, standard radar detection range and accuracy both dropped sharply, making these explosive traps almost impossible to scan at distance. Next, he ordered the battle axe to flash her signature briefly to lure the warship straight into his trap. Once both sides entered the designated battlefield, he deployed thick Minovsky particles to scramble their sensors and engaged in a brutal, point-blank artillery exchange. The sheer firepower from both vessels pushed the balanced gravity pocket past its threshold, and the violent gravitational turbulence erupted. This storm alone could not pierce Seed warship's heavy shields and armor, only severely disrupt them, but the asteroids preloaded with space mines would flood the battlefield on the asteroids preloaded with deadly space mines flood directly onto the active battlefield. Those turbulence currents, his true trump card. The mines used basic identification systems, friend or foe, simple. They dealt massive damage to the trapped Jin family. Warship, he crippled their engine module, maneuverability, gone. Then he struck the final blow, sunk. He secured the antidote right after, finally lifting the Jin family poison threat. Objectively, his ambush was exceptionally well planned, and the results spoke for themselves. He defeated an opponent an entire tier above him. In a virtual star network game, it would be hailed as a perfect victory, but reality is harsh. Back then, his inexperienced self assumed an ambush in an environment as complex as this asteroid belt would be completely seamless. He never knew that advanced seed warships carry advanced black boxes. The Jin family warships that arrived later tracked special signals directly to that black box, recovering the full records of his previous ambush. Soon, the entire file landed right before Jin family eyes. To the commander they eventually dispatched, the tactical data revealed was massive. First, the battle axe captain had changed. He was no longer Wan Su-ho. According to Sama Dijo's official reports, Wan Su-ho was carrying fatal wounds from a heart-piercing dagger, and even with extreme medical intervention, his remaining life could not exceed 24 hours. An ambush executed days after that strike was clearly not commanded by him. Anyway, before dying, Wan Su-ho must have transferred captain authority to someone else. Second, the new captain was clearly intimately familiar with the asteroid belt mining zone, right down to those hidden, invisible gravitational turbulence patches. This was the only way the ambush could be laid. With those two clues tracing the battle axe to that specific mining sector, the true identity of the new captain became blindingly obvious. Who else could it be besides the local miners working there at the time? His secret cover was practically blown at that point. Before his regression, the battle axe's extra modules should have let him lie low, at least, keeping him off the Jin family radar much longer. But his actions were forced by Wan Su-ho's secret medicine, needing to secure the antidote within a single year. His past self simply could not find any better path and had to take the massive gamble. The risk paid off, but the blowback was severe. It left a clear trail, accelerating his exposure, and left his already heavily damaged battle axe in even worse shape. Before she was repaired, he did not dare use the auxiliary system functions to cross dimensions for vital source points. Plus, there were absolutely no factories in this remote mining sector capable of repairing seed warships, and he could never openly reveal his captaincy. So the golden period that should have been his development phase was completely wasted. This time, though, a playful smirk crosses his face. Who says asterisk? Direct descendants of the Jin family are so hard to kill. Who says his asterisk? Only option is that stubborn Sama Dijo. And who says the restrictions Wan Su-ho set on the system's optical computer can only be bypassed by meeting his highly specific conditions? He whispers to the empty cabin, watch out, Jin family brats. This time he will not play in the mud with them. The road is long, and this time he refuses to roll in the mud with his enemies. They will cross paths again. Rebirth has changed his perspective entirely. He is no longer trapped. Now he has the power to escape this petty game. He sees clearly that fighting the massive Jin family right now is foolish. It is incredibly dangerous and totally pointless, thanks to his future knowledge. He has managed to keep himself completely off their radar. as long as the mighty battle axe ship stays hidden from their sight. And he makes absolutely zero mistakes. The Jin family will not suspect him for years. This precious time allows him to grow his power, forget dealing with one descendant. Eventually, he will tear down the entire Jin family, but for now, those are just long-term plans. He must tread carefully. Respect the enemy tactically, no more wasting time, he returns to the Mine Overlord Type 2, parked inside the massive cargo bay of the Battle Axe, bringing the quantum entanglement brainwave control system online. Once active, this module binds directly to his brainwave signals. This allows him to command the warship from anywhere within range. He runs through the connection sequence with complete and practiced ease, firing off test commands until everything is completely clean and ready. Under his command, the cargo bay doors beneath the battle axe slowly slide open. Mine Overlord Type 2 glides out into space, tracing a graceful arc. Moving as light as a swallow, he commands the bay doors to shut. He snaps his fingers as they seal, accelerating his mining ship. 12 hours later, he uses the remote connection to trigger the stealth module. He activates the Mirage stealth system on the battle axe. The massive warship cloaks and slips silently away from the area. He keeps the ship on a short leash, ensuring she stays within range. The connection remains strong and perfectly stable. A day later, his reliable mining ship returns from its run just like it always does, landing safely back on planet KQ-03 with a full haul. Everything goes completely by the book, but he cannot immediately rush into the next step. He avoids sending the battle axe straight into the dangerous heterospace battlefield to harvest source points because time is currently running out. A normal mining run takes 3 full days, and heterospace trips take a full 24 hours, claiming the ship already took 2 days, leaving him with only 1 day to secretly speed up his mining. He must avoid suspicion. Staying hidden is absolutely everything right now. Planet KQ-03 is just as gloomy and rusty as always. The dirty world remains completely unbothered by the 2 seed warships overhead. Wang Dong acts completely normal and heads straight back to his home. He wakes the next morning, stretching until his stiff joints crack loudly. He lies there enjoying the rare luxury of relaxing. The past Wang Dong never enjoyed a peaceful morning like this. Back then, energy reserves were running dangerously thin, his only thought after barely escaping a brutal chase was finding any standard energy he could to keep the ship alive. These power blocks are pretty easy to buy, running everything from massive industrial rigs to passenger spacecraft, palm-sized slabs of high energy. Standard energy fuel blocks are 10 by 5 by 1 centimeters, cheap at 1,000 credits, buying a dozen at a time barely draws any attention, but for a behemoth like a seed warship, those are completely useless like drops of sand. The Mirage system or the ship's flying stems consume the equivalent of 100 standard energy blocks every single time they fire, and the quantum entanglement brainwave control system chews through another block. Every single hour it remains active, factor in the engines and daily maintenance, and the battle axe demands at least 30 standard energy blocks every day. That is a daily burn of 30,000 credits, an expensive habit no ordinary rich kid can sustain. Wang Dong did not have those savings, and buying that amount openly would invite dangerous questions he could not answer. That was why, in his previous life, he went underground. He approached a caravan leader he had never met, negotiated a deal for cheap standard energy blocks below market rate, leaving room for a fat kickback, and finally breathed easy. It was incredibly expensive, but it kept the ship running. Still, as the saying goes, every step leaves a footprint. Maybe Brother Hun said that. Either way, the logic holds, even though he chose a complete stranger on purpose and treated it as a one-time transaction. That caravan leader was far from stupid. In this world, people do not just blindly sell goods and forget a suspicious customer's face. His caravan answered to a powerful northern noble. Meanwhile, the fierce battle between the battle axe and the Jin family warships out in the asteroid belt was already a poorly kept secret to local factions. The truth behind the 2 seed warships and why they clashed in space was common knowledge among the power players on planet KQ-03. Honestly, never underestimate what local syndicates can dig up when they want to. That captain quickly pieced Wang Dong's odd purchasing behavior together with the news, smelled a massive profit, and reported him without even knowing his name. So what began as a simple Jin family manhunt gained a second predator, this noble from the Purple Thistle Kingdom, an intervention that eventually ruined his life. The fourth caravan of the Xianbang Earldom, led by Captain O. Hoji, that name is now neatly written in his notebook. He plans to pay them back with plenty of interest. In this life, despite facing the same energy crisis with the battle axe, he remains perfectly calm. But watch this, a simple alternative works wonders when standard blocks are unavailable. Raw energy crystals can stand in as emergency fuel, since they are basically concentrated, high-energy matter. The primary drawback is a much higher consumption rate and future engine fatigue. But any veteran interstellar mercenary knows how to handle those minor risks. Fortunately, he happens to be carrying 3 full units of low-grade energy crystals capable of pouring roughly 3,000 emergency reserve units into the battle axe. That completely solves his immediate crisis and entirely removes his reason to pursue back-alley deals. Another major risk point is quietly resolved. His flavorless nutritional meal goes down easily, pushing the empty tray aside. He takes a quick shower, throws on casual clothes, and heads out. He catches the mag love bus toward the Miju Internet Cafe, dodging the miserable weather. Exactly 35 minutes later, he is standing before an 18-story duplex high-rise inn. The residential district's business center, a rare luxurious sight in this area. It features its own massive parking lot and an entire floor for central dining. He spots a rooftop lounge bar featuring over 160 star domain instant communication pods. He murmurs to himself about the heavy scent of money, a nearby passerby busy admiring. The uniformed greeters at the entrance quickly corrects him, pointing out the strong scent of perfume instead. He laughs, nods to the friendly stranger, and heads inside. A receptionist in black and white greets him with a smile, asking if he needs help. He requests a standard pod and hands over his black membership card. She swipes it on her wrist terminal, returns it with a polite bow, and points him to pod 412 on the 4th floor, wishing him a great gaming experience. He thanks her. The lobby downstairs is packed with promo banners for virtual games. The largest one announces that Journey to the Stars just launched its 1,000-ship battle mode, bringing a small nostalgic grin, and honestly, who can blame him? This is the exact real-time strategy game he once described to Wanyuo aboard the Battle Axe. It is a game where players become warship captains, trading fire in deep space. Normally, he drops by this cafe a few times a month, spending over 90% of his time on Journey to the Stars. To keep up appearances, he sticks to the routine. He lies down in the 3-meter-long black pod, presses start, and the hatch seals shut over him. A soft female voice asks if he wants to connect to the Star Domain Network. He confirms, and it confirms that Amethyst Kingdom Telecom is active. When he opens his eyes, again he is floating in outer space. Starlight sparkles in every direction as a massive star pours light and heat down on him. The central star of this mining system, whatever its catalog name actually is, he cannot recall. Maybe some random code name nobody bothers to remember, not even him. He orders the system to log him into Journey to the Stars. His perspective shifts instantly as the background stars dim. In their place, a massive steel warship emerges from the distance and stops right there. Rugged kinetic cannon points from the bow, while 4 secondary cannons ride along the outer hull. From the stern, a fading blue engine wake glows. A tractor beam shoots up from the vessel, wrapping around him and pulling him into the command cabin instantly. He settles into the captain's seat with years of muscle memory. 2 safety belts cross his chest and lock him down. A green light blinks on above, followed by the deep voice of the ship computer. It announces that the captain is in position and describes the mass-produced Scout-class destroyer, main cannon level 1, armor level 1, radar level 1, hull structure level 1, with overall combat power evaluated at destroyer level 1. He has 190 remaining enhancement points, and his current power sits below 99.9% of players. Talk about a brutal ranking. And to keep pushing, it is a familiar shell and familiar interior. The Scout class destroyer is the free starter ship in the game, modeled after the original Seed warships with some obvious differences. There is no Minovsky power source, no particle weapons or shields, both stripped for the sake of balance. After all, a game is just a game. His original reason for starting this was to practice warship handling and combat in a simulator, since nothing else compared. On the civilian market, he has not played in a while. Before his rebirth, he was too busy running for his life. Once you command a real warship, virtual ones lose all appeal. He enters the random solo match queue and watches the countdown hit 0. The virtual matchmaking system wishes the captain good fortune and prosperous fortunes in war. The mission board prints the briefing as a scroll across his eyes. Star calendar year 103, June 14th. Terrain and asteroid belt within a 1 light-minute radius, adding a handy footnote that a light-minute is the distance light travels in 60 seconds, roughly 18 million kilometers. The match features 2 mass-produced Scout-class destroyers at level 1 under the handle Hanpong against a mass-produced Scout destroyer at level 4 named Newbie Light Abuse. The victory condition is one side sunk or surrendering. Match length is 1 hour. Instantly the scene shifts. He finds himself floating in a massive, drifting asteroid belt. Of all places, what a crazy coincidence. He tells the ship to switch the sky. Survey radar to passive, cut engine power low, and adjust hull orientation to coordinates X01, Y02, Z01 from his current position, spatial coordinates. Here use a standard 3-axis frame, X horizontal, Y vertical, and Z longitudinal, fixing the initial starting point, so distance, gun aim, and everything else can be calculated downstream. Inside an asteroid belt, standard radar exploration is heavily degraded, without a main cannon blast or a high-power engine. Bloom, a level 1 radar cannot tell a warship apart from a normal asteroid. This is why he keeps his radar passive, listening for the other guys probing waves instead of broadcasting his own, snuggling his ship up against a medium asteroid for cover in case he gets spotted first. 5 minutes in, the passive radar registers an exploration wave, intensity 0.9, source coordinates X13. Y20 Z11, a total novice, no stealth discipline at all, just bullying. He tells the engine to roll up to second gear, plotting a path that hops from rock to rock toward the target, keeping his radar passive. The shipborne computer reports the orders are received. Path modeling is complete. Approach begins. Estimated engagement time is 8 minutes and 23 seconds. Newbie Light Abuse's active scans never stop, and her travel speed maps cleanly off. The shifting position fixes. Even using the second of 5 engine gears, they close fast. 5 minutes later, she hits X10, Y10, Z5, 0.3 light. Minutes out, just inside main cannon range. He looks around the local cover. There are still plenty of asteroids to hide behind, but if he presses any closer, her radar will start picking up his engine signature. He cuts the engine to hold silent. After a brief pause, he issues a new command. Newbie Light Abuse continues. Her high-speed approach completely unaware while he sits on her flank, the level 1. Destroyer's main gun is a kinetic weapon with decent range but slow projectile speed. For accuracy during a silent ambush, the closer the better. 2 more minutes and she reads X10, Y3, 0.12. Light minutes out, the perfect moment has arrived. Her path crosses directly into his. The vessel tilts at nearly a 90-degree angle, cutting the gap down to raw reaction speed. He orders a maximum recharge on the main cannon, setting it to fire automatically. The moment the lock secures, the countdown ticks down from 10 as the computer monitors. At 7, the optical computer warns of enemy detection, but he barks to keep recharging. There is no way the opponent misses a main cannon powering up this close. But at this distance, it does not even matter. 3, 2, 1, the main cannon fires. The Scout-class destroyer belonging to Newbie Light Abuse catches the massive energy spike. Immediately, the enemy ship snaps into automatic evasion, but the distance is just too tight. His high-energy projectile slams directly into her stern flank. The impact shatters the armor plating, and the brutal kinetic force sends her spinning. The ship rolls completely out of trim as the optical computer logs the damage. Stern armor damage is estimated at 80%, with engine thrust cut by 30. With his main cannon needing 50 seconds to recharge, he shifts engines to third gear. He orders an approach run from the zenith, locking onto the enemy engine as primary target. Then he sinks back into his captain's chair with absolute ease. It is the relaxed posture of a man who knows his job is finished. Newbie Light Abuse, knocked off balance, cannot recover and has no way to strike back. She only needs a couple more cannon blasts before she is completely out of the match. Approaching from above keeps him safely out of her firing arc in case of desperation. An effortless victory, he just hopes his next opponent actually gives him a challenge. A minute later, the second main cannon shot strikes the enemy engine dead center. Battle is decided. With all thrust gone, newbie light abuse is a sitting duck. Just as he prepares to finish it, the enemy ship pings him with a communication request. The request routes directly through his shipborne optical computer. His first instinct is to ignore it, since these channels usually host toxic insults. But it is his first match, and humoring the rookie costs him nothing. He accepts. "Please do not shoot," a voice begs immediately, sounding incredibly anxious and clearly male. The young man swears he has something important to tell him. His polite attitude is surprising, so the captain pauses the recharge and halts his weapon. The rookie quickly thanks him, talking with the rapid-fire speed of someone under extreme pressure. When the captain casually asks what is going on, the kid shifts his tone. He starts calling the captain Big Brother and desperately pitches a business deal. His win rate is about to drop below 50%, so he begs him to throw the game. In exchange, he offers a small token of appreciation. Intrigued, the captain pulls up the rookie's combat record. 148 wins, 103 losses, 45 draws, exactly 50%. The kid hurried to explain that if the captain surrenders, a gift will be sent. Promising a small gift pack, the kid reveals himself as one of those legendary pay-to-win players. The bundle is the lowest-tier microtransaction in Journey to the Stars, but it is real cash. Now the captain does not actually need the money, but acting too proud feels pointless. What is more important anyway, a casual online match or a kid's pride? Everybody was young once, so he decides to do his good deed for the day. He sends over his ID number ending in 59 to seal the deal. Surrender is promised the absolute second the gift pack arrives in his inbox. If the kid does not trust him, then they can just call it off. "Brother," he says, "anyone can tell Han Pong is a skill-based player. Why would he cheat?" Him out of a tiny gift pack, he pings the transfer over and his personal terminal pops up. A notification says a user ending in 31 gifted him a single small gift pack with a note begging Big Brother to spare him. He claims it and it pays out in command deck decorations and other tiny trinkets. He tells him the token is received, then triggers the surrender. The system asks Captain Han Pong to confirm. After a 60-second countdown, he confirms, as the countdown ticks down amidst endless rookie thanks. The match closes out as a loss. Han Pong casually declines his friend request and pulls up his combat record. Han Pong, 564 wins, 421 losses. A bit embarrassing but understandable. He only uses unenhanced starter ships. Every match is basically a struggle against high-level kits, and the main reason his win rate sits there is being crushed by superior hardware. He usually plays 4-hour stretches, and honestly, who can blame him? In Journey, with its ratio that is 32 in-game hours, compared to a real seed warship, the controls in here are stripped-down toys, but they kill time without taxing the brain too much. Time to queue up the next random match, wishing the captain good fortune in battle. The familiar electronic voice purrs. Star. Calendar 103, June 14th. Terrain, Cosmic Void Belt. Radius 1 light minute. Participating vessels. His mass-produced scout class. Destroyer level 1. Han Pong is up against a scout class destroyer. Level 5 named I Love Fruit Juice. Victory condition, sunk or surrendered. Duration 30 minutes. A cosmic void refers to an extremely matter-deficient zone between galaxies. Universal gravitation pulls the various star systems together into massive galactic rivers, each of which can contain tens of millions of stars. That gravitational pulling also opens up the matter-deficient belts between them. Many seed warships cruise this cosmic void belt year-round for these pure astronomical conditions, since that is where heterospace signals come in cleanest. The heterospace battlefield opens easiest. The in-game flavor music here translates roughly to do not be a coward, just fight, or alternatively do not think about hiding, just feed. Han Pong laughs out loud. Talk about pure malice towards starter ships. He orders the Sky Survey radar to active mode. No choice but to move. There is no camping on this terrain. Within seconds, the radar reports back. Enemy locked at X16Y1609, 0.5 light minutes away, with a warning that they both are locked. As expected, detection wave speed is symmetric. When you stare at an opponent, they stare right back. Engine output to level 3. Target enemy ship. Advance. Orders received. Captain, this ship is moving out. A few dozen seconds in, he is studying the data. And a small frown creeps onto his face. At this speed, their engine must have been enhanced. Their acceleration clearly exceeds what a level 1 engine puts out. At full burn, more like level 2, no novice here, in the game taking an engine from level 1 to level 2 costs 200 enhancement points, and the main cannon costs the same, since most prioritize offense. Anyone who has upgraded their engine has probably upgraded their weapons too. He is in for a. He feels the pressure, still he smiles. Unenhanced level 1 armor against it. Level 2 main cannon will completely cave in on the first solid hit, and likely punch straight through on the second. The game lacks energy shield modules entirely. This kills stall tactics to speed up matches but also leaves zero margin for error. Even so, head-on slugging is not the only way to fight. He has survived real battles. He will not sit and wait. Death. Enemy coordinates are set. Distance is 0.3 light minutes. The radar reports 2 minutes in, both ships are inside main cannon range. I love. Fruit Juice fires first. He does not order his own cannon to charge yet. Accuracy at extreme range is terrible, since she has the faster engine and better agility. There is no reason to waste shots. Attitude control engines go to full power. Random evasion. Those lateral thrusters ride along the flanks for stability and course adjustments, and this mass-produced scout destroyer carries 4 of them, 1 on each side of the hull. Evasion complete. The enemy main cannon is recharging. The computer reports 12 seconds later, a blazing high-energy projectile streaks past him several hundred kilometers below his hull. 50-some seconds later, another round flashes past his side, barely 100 kilometers away. Close shave. The distance drops to 0.15 light minutes. Still, no orders. He refuses to charge the main cannon, switching instead to manual control. The system counts down. 3, 2, 1. Switch complete. Wishing the captain immediate success. Scout assault. A sudden rush of adrenaline courses through him. His eyes narrow. His hands grip the 8-directional rudder, snapping the scout ship through a wild sequence of irregular evasions while charging directly toward I love. Fruit Juice. At 0.1 light minutes, the third high-energy shot passes by. This sudden acceleration and manual evasion completely wrecked the enemy targeting calculations on I love Fruit Juice's Sky Survey radar tracking system. So even though the gap is closing, her hit rate refuses to climb. Get ready, both ships are barreling toward each other at extreme speeds. 0.1 light minutes leaves no room for another round of main cannon fire. This next pass will decide everything. After spotting him, she committed to a full-speed charge, maintaining maximum velocity. The entire time, his own ship is pushing right up against the structural limits of what its level 1 hull structure can withstand. At this rate, the 0.1 light minutes will shrink to nothing in under 20 seconds, which is too short for her main cannon to finish recharging, loading, and firing. Since the match began, his main cannon has not fired once, nor has he taken a hit, and she has no idea what his warship's upgrade level is. She dares not risk slowing down and getting blasted. Winning or losing now depends entirely on the impending clash. The cold truth hits him without a second thought. Years of combat experience will do that. The faster a warship moves, the harder it gets to target. Unaware that his main cannon is only level 1, I love Fruit Juice does not choose to slow down and trade long-range salvos. Instead, she chooses the safer play, a full-speed head-on flyby to loop back around for round 2 after they cross paths. Safe on paper, but a massive opening for him. Real combat. Main thrusters cut back. Thruster number 1 activates 2. He starts at full power. Cannon recharging begins in 10 seconds. The countdown ticks down from 10 to 1. Recharging begins. Out in the virtual sky, his thrust completely bottoms out now. His upper directional engine roars to life, belching out a brilliant blue tongue of light at full burn. As the two ships flash toward each other, he visibly tilts his nose up and veers his heading toward her underside. They were originally rushing each other on a single plane, but now her ship continues straight, while his, hauled around by the upper directional engine, pivots to skim right past her belly. The two are about to cross paths, one above and one below, and his bow is angled directly at her lower hull. The moment they cross, her entire underside will be exposed right inside his main cannon's firing cone. The main cannon recharging countdown ticks down to 0. Recharging is complete. Their collision countdown hits 0. The ships cross paths and his main Cannon fires. The first shot of the main weapon needs no reload, only recharging. And at exactly 10 seconds, his earlier decision not to waste a single round earns its reward. The projectile leaves the barrel at point-blank range and slams into the underside of her stern engine, ripping the machine apart. The enemy ship's computer scrambles to adjust her trim in. The brief instant remaining, but the first move advantage is already completely gone. Ship that cannot bank properly cannot dodge a cannon round delivered straight into its belly from arm's length. Talk about a devastating critical hit, the enemy engine. Reads 60% damage, output down 90%, sweet music. His own ship reports a structural damage of 13% and engine output down 5%, a steep tax. For making that violent direction change on a level 1 hull, 2 or 3 more. Maneuvers that violent and the hull might fracture, none of which matters because he already owns the fight outright. His fish leap ascent has gutted her engine, reduced her thrust to a crawl, and stretched her main cannon's recharge time. Just a few seconds later, the system makes an announcement. Player I love. Fruit Juice has initiated a surrender request. As the timer counts down, he brings his ship around in a clean detour, parking right near her side without letting the main cannon recharge any further. Since she surrendered, there is no need to whip. The Corp's basic decorum is important after all, a peaceful society. Peaceful game. A second prompt chimes. An inbound communication request comes from I love Fruit Juice. He lets out a long breath to drop his adrenaline and accepts. A soft, girlish voice on the other end chirps about teaming up to grind battlefields together, claiming her specialty is getting carried and cheering him on. He declines flatly, pleading a tight schedule and cuts the channel. No interest at all. That was a good shot though. The fish leap strike timing was clean. To the frame, his warship control skills have clearly leveled up. He gives himself a quiet thumbs up. The fish leap strike is a genuinely difficult maneuver, since the actual window of convergence between two ships is brutally short, and both ships are accelerating through the entire sequence. That makes judging the main cannon's recharging window a complete coin flip without pure instinct. Luck matters. 2, of course, the cannon fires the instant it finishes recharging, at least on destroyer hulls, so the pilot has to time the start by feel, too early end. If the cannon fires before the opponent slides into the firing arc, you miss. Waiting too long means you are just firing into completely empty space. The defensive armor on ISO Fruit Juice was level 2-2. If he had not targeted her engine directly, even a close hit on her tail armor would have felt like a light scratch at worst. Once she recovered and figured out his main cannon was only at level 1, she would just need to throttle down, drag the fight into a war of attrition, and beat him easily. Eventually, he queues back up and runs 3 more matches. Sweeping them all, crushing low-level players feels pretty good for a while. Let's be real, doing that round after round gets pretty boring after a while. He had a bit of interest at first, but after a few matches the nostalgia completely evaporates. The naive kid who used to love this is long gone, and Journey to the Stars no longer pulls him in. He exits the game completely. Once confirmed, his perspective slowly floats away from the warship as the massive vessel shrinks into a tiny icon hanging on his screen. Just as he starts browsing other apps, a notification flashes. And look at that, his old friend Tutu Rabbit is finally back online. Seeing that familiar game message brings a sudden, warm feeling straight to his chest. During more than 3 years of playing, he never built a massive friend list. Tutu Rabbit was easily the most talkative person on his small list. Like him, she always flew the basic, unupgraded starter ship. Before his rebirth, once he took up the heavy weapon, he was always traveling. The game faded from his daily life, and he lost touch with everyone. But occasionally, when those old memories crossed his mind, he felt a little pang of real regret. Without a single second thought, he logs back in. Before he can even settle into the pilot's seat of his destroyer, a new message pops up. A sweet, playful voice sounds through his speaker, calling him little donkey. She tells him it is perfect timing for some practice rounds. She just learned a brand new maneuver today and wants to test it. It is Tutu Rabbit, of course. He smiles warmly and fires back a quick response, calling her little rabbit while reminding her for the 100th time that he is actually 2 months older and deserves to be called brother. Her clear, bell-like laughter echoes back as she teasingly rejects his demands. She teasingly tells the little donkey to beat her first if he wants respect. She even offers to handicap herself by shutting off one of her thrusters. Hearing her laugh, he can easily picture the playful girl on the other end of the channel. They are the absolute textbook definition of game friends. Their entire relationship exists strictly inside the virtual world of the game. Based on their shared ages, they were born in the same year with him. Older by exactly 2 months and 6 days, but because her gaming skill is so incredibly high, she refuses to recognize it, calling herself Big Sister instead. In truth, her worship control and deep understanding of advanced combat tactics are genuinely off the charts. Of everyone he met across those 3 years, almost nobody could ever match her skills, and even by his current expert standards, she is incredibly impressive. She claims to be studying at the Purple Star Academy, the Thistle Kingdom's Royal Sky Patrol Higher Education Academy, just watching her play, he believes her completely. When he first entered Journey to the Stars, he started from zero, drilling controls alone in the dark. He had never been exposed to high-tech ship piloting before. For 2 years, he trained blind, relying purely on raw intuition. The results were mediocre. His win rate hovered miserably low, never even crossing 15% because of his stubborn insistence on default ships. Then, in his 3rd year, he happened to run into Tutu Rabbit in the Journey to the Stars battlefield mode. They ended up on the same side of a 100-player team battle under her command, both of them with their low white-tier ships executed a massive outflanking maneuver, ambushing the enemy Fleet Commander flagship, basically securing the win for their team right there. After the dust settled, he deployed his incredibly persistent, annoying, pestering tactics, eventually wearing her down into agreeing to guide him. She agreed to guide him, as she later confirmed she was a student at the Royal Sky Patrol Academy, and during their first one-on-one teaching duel, she put on a complete clinic in systematic naval warfare theory and control methodology. That duel hit him like a sudden sunrise. For the first time, he understood where his training needed to go. Only then did his hours in the game actually count as real training. He went back to basics, drilling fundamental movement, strafing, and firing. Then he moved to advanced combos like speed control and rapid shifts, irregular tactical evasion, and finally mastering complex maneuvers. Even a virtual game's controls shared enough with a real ship for all his hard work to carry over perfectly over the following year. His foundation grew piece by piece, and his win rate climbed from under 15% up to nearly 50%, an absolute game changer. That massive growth let him actually survive once he inherited the battle axe in his past life. Without that intense simulator training, he could never have stalled the Jin family warships for nearly as long as he did. When it comes to piloting, Tutu Rabbit was truly his guiding light. He remains deeply grateful to her. Even now, on her end, she took a quiet mentor's pride in how fast he improved under her tutelage. Over time, the bond between them deepened, and he occasionally let slip details about his real life without worrying, believing a gentleman should be open, and after all, it's just a game. No need for secrets. When she let slip a few words about her own life, she was not overly guarded either. Between them, the bond felt a touch warmer than typical online friends. Whenever they were both in games, she often invited him onto the battlefield or into a one-on-one duel. In those duels, of course, his win rate stayed at absolute zero. She challenges him again now, and he replies with his usual routine. Sing your brother a nice song, and he will lie flat and let her win. She huffs playfully, calling him shameless, and announces she won't abuse him tonight just to spare his fragile little ego, telling him to hurry up and thank his sister for her imperial grace. He shoots back that surely it should be, "Thank you, sister, for your rabbit grace," and she immediately weaponizes context. He claims that as long as he thanks his big sister, they are totally good. Talk about a quick defeat. He cannot even blame her for pulling out a Gundam. Only his own weak skills. Yeah, trash talk is definitely not his thing. He smoothly changes the subject, asking if she is actually a student at the Purple Thistle Kingdom's Royal Sky Patrol Higher Education Academy. As expected, she laughs. That little dong immediately runs away when the heat is on, pulling a classic subject change escape maneuver. Talk about a total combat power of 5. After kicking him around virtual space a bit more, she finally confirms she is a first-year freshman at the Purple Thistle Kingdom's Royal Sky Patrol Higher Education Academy, soon to be a second-year senior. She playfully teases that the school is heavily militarized, so even if he wanted to send her a gift, there is no way in. He quickly covers, claiming he just Wanted to know if everyone at the Royal Sky Patrol Academy is as insanely strong as her. In your dreams, she replies because she is a seed player ranked in the top 3. She is definitely not some average student any random clown can compare to. Top 3 of the whole grade, he echoes. Back apologies all around, so she's actually a pretty fierce little rabbit. No matter how small, she fires back. Big sister is still big sister. And she dares him to settle this on the field with a handicap. By turning off one of her thrusters, he dodges the challenge with his usual excuse, bringing up Yang Yang's new book instead. Talk about another instant defeat. Yang Yang is a massive bestseller in the Gorse Federation, famous for his incredible prose. She immediately recognizes Starry Sky Dragon slaying records. She has heard of it, but admits she has never actually read any of Yang Yang's novels. He asks why she even knows about it then, and she enthusiastically explains. Apparently, all the boys at her academy love them, even naming their actual flight maneuvers after martial arts moves from those books they call a zenith assault, the soaring dragon in the sky. And a triple charge becomes proud dragon repents. Honestly, the whole thing is absolutely hilarious. She happily mimics the ridiculous voice chats of the martial arts fanboys until she dissolves into giggles. He laughs out loud. Listening to her, her laughter sounds as crisp as summer wind chimes, and he pictures a massive warship dogfight, punctuated by pilots screaming kung fu moves over the comms. Take my soaring dragon in the sky, brother, he mock narrates. Hey, you dodged it, no problem, this is a combo. Take my proud dragon reps, chain attack, huh? Dodged again, brother, your shifting stars is too much. He had better use hidden dragon. Do not act and get out of here. It is just so ridiculously funny. They lose track of time, chatting about random things for an hour without even noticing. Then Tutu Rabbit suddenly remembers her chores, grumbling playfully that chatting with him made her miss her daily tactical maneuver practice. And of course, she claims it is all Little Dong's fault. At the strict Royal Sky Patrol Higher Education Academy, free time is incredibly rare. Their window to connect to the Star Domain network is just a few hours before lights out. He offers to run some practice rounds with her, but she immediately waves him off, teasing that with his skills, he should practice alone, sister. Rabbit heads off first. Keep grinding, little donkey, see you later, Wang Dong bids her goodbye, and her friend's status immediately flips to inactive. Her prompt decisiveness is a work of art. He sits in the captain's chair, then reaches up and pinches the bridge of his nose, wondering about this sudden, unexpected bubble of joy. It has probably been too long since they last talked, or maybe it is the sheer psychological relief of dodging the first major disaster of his second life. Still, he warns himself to stay sharp and avoid overthinking things. How much spiritual merit does a soul actually need to secure a chance at transmigration? He wonders, considering that out of hundreds of thousands of web novel writers and hundreds of millions of avid readers from a major site in his past life, practically none ever experienced this for real. Honestly, not a single soul did. Yet on top of this incredibly rare transmigration, he even scored a full rebirth. Of course, a golden cheat like his system only sets a person's baseline floor. Once you have it, your own actual capability decides where the ceiling is. In his previous life, he was utterly trapped by bad circumstances, hitting constant dead ends and finishing in a pretty pathetic state. Honestly, he had totally disgraced the entire transmigrator community in this life if he does not live completely free, conquering the vast cosmos and standing at the absolute top. Will he not be a joke to fellow dimension travelers and waste this destiny? And honestly, we all know his massive grind is bound to pay off. However, during this critical early stage, he still absolutely needs to keep a low profile. Patience is key, and some ambitions simply cannot be rushed, even if he has a real interest in that girl, traveling to the neighboring Gore Federation. To meet her in person requires massive funds. Currently, he and the Battle Axe are nowhere near that level yet. He lingers at the Miju Internet Cafe for hours before finally walking away with the clear look of wanting much more. Over the following days, he sticks to a perfect routine, showing zero anomalies. He avoids hunting for energy blocks and stays far away from that sketchy merchant from his past life. Meanwhile, after his previous public embarrassment, Old Shay has been behaving much better. Everything goes on smoothly for now. Until June 20th, another mining day, Wang Dong arrives at the port early, in great spirits, ready to select a spacecraft, but instead of the Usual rush, he spots crowds of miners huddled together in tense groups. Whispering, he pauses, then quietly steps closer to listen. Sure enough, old Shay is right in the center, aggressively asking the others to believe his wild story. He claims that unidentified battleships have suddenly entered the mining zone. He insists he saw them personally, claiming the video records from the mining ship are undeniable proof. These are not ordinary vessels either. He claims they are rare seed warships. Yet the surrounding crowd is not easily swayed by his dramatic warning. One miner scoffs, declaring he does not care about the classification of the vessel. He only cares whether the mining area remains safe, since battleships never show up. In a civilian sector without cause, another miner nods, demanding to know what Boss Chin has said, since he leased this entire sector and owes everyone a real explanation. A third admitting that he is genuinely terrified of heading down there today. It is obvious old Shay was just fishing for attention with this piece of news. He looks up only to hear a chorus of worry, lowering his eyelids as he mutters. They are short-sighted fools worrying blindly, thinking seed warships would never care. Less about poor miners like them, saying they deserve to be poor, his own heart stays completely untroubled. What old she ran into has to be the Jin family seed. Warships out searching for the battle axe, certainly not the legendary ship itself. Herself, through the quantum entanglement brainwave control system, he keeps a constant grip on the battle axe's situation, like the other miners. He steps closer to catch a little more news. Nobody has gone out to mine yet. Even old she has recovered enough to wear a lingering edge of fear, because running into a warship in the mining area is genuinely terrible news. People die out here without anyone ever finding the cause, and even if the warship takes no action, passing by at close range can wreck a mining ship from pure proximity. He is not in any hurry to head out either, not until the mine owner, Old Chin, arrives in person after hearing the noise. Old Chin barks at the whole crowd to stop worrying about nothing. He asks rhetorically whether a great noble's warship would care about poor fools like them. He points out the mining area is huge, so the odds of bumping into one are vanishingly small, and tells them that even if it happens, they should just be smart, stay out of the way, since the noble lords are not going to stoop to their level. Then he tells them to stop loafing and get down into the mines immediately, because this month's purchase price is up by 5%. Old Chin does not have a smooth tongue, but his information is sharp. Without some real connections, he would not have contracted a mining area to begin with, so the miners are inclined to listen. Most of them decide what he says makes perfect sense. A few still carry misgivings, but no one is willing to leave a 5% profit margin behind. Before long, the crowd is picking ships and prepping their runs. He slots in among them like a drop of water blending into a river, betraying nothing unusual. Star. Calendar 10105, June 22nd. In the asteroid belt mining area, after a full day of mining in a sector he deems sufficient, he pilots the mining ship out and successfully rendezvous with the battle axe. He docks the mining ship into the cargo hold to unload some of the ore onto the battle axe. Some of those minerals were specifically gathered during the run as auxiliary materials for upgrading the shipborne modules on the battle axe. None of them are precious, but the asteroid belt mining area never lacks common ore. He steps into the command cabin with practiced ease. With only the captain aboard, it feels somewhat empty and lonely. The shipborne optical computer welcomes him on time, calling him commander, and he lets himself smile a little. On the battle axe, how could he possibly feel lonely? It is a man's true romance, after all. Settling into the commander seat, he links into the high-speed human-machine data interaction state, since only in this mode can the warship's auxiliary system fully exert its functions. Then, he opens the system's first optional function, heterospace signal capture, as one unit of low-grade energy crystal slowly dissipates in his palm. The shipborne tinder on the battle axe begins to react, the flame held steady all this time rises slightly, resonating with some hidden pattern. A sudden moment later, as the low-grade energy crystal vanishes entirely, the shipborne tinder settles. The shipborne optical computer reports that the ship's tinder has received a heterospace signal, and the heterospace battlefield can now be opened. Asking for confirmation, he clenches his fist. The auxiliary system actually worked right here in the messy asteroid belt. His shipborne tinder managed to pick up a clean heterospace signal, no more dragging his ship out into some cosmic void. In wandering the cold, Dead reaches like a gambler waiting on a good hand. With this system, he can step into battle from anywhere he pleases in the sea of stars. No rush, he waits. First, he activates the Mirage system, dropping the battle axe into stealth, which matters more than anything. Then, he releases over a dozen microprobes and seeds them through the surrounding airspace. Enter the heterospace battlefield. He finally gives the command without any hesitation. The next instant, the battle axe's engines surge to full burn. The shipborne tinder flares violently. Light and flame fill the cabin. Power floods the hull, and a mysterious energy fluctuation envelops the ship. The silhouette of the battle axe vanishes from this universe and snaps across into another spacetime. In the blink of an eye, a wave of vertigo hits him hard, then drains away. Gone as if it never happened, he recovers quickly, unlike his very first jump. Back then, he nearly vomited, before he can even savor the feeling of standing inside the heterospace battlefield again. The shipborne optical computer pings him. The Sky Survey radar has picked up enemy traces. Search results show a Level 1 interstellar civilization, planet-level fortresses. Quantity 2, threat level medium, warship units numbering 2,386. Threat level medium, habitable planets. Quantity 10, threat level low, a star. System with 12 planets inside, 3 habitable, 2 militarized fortress. Planets plus a large concentration of warships cruising the neighborhood. And most critical detail, this is only a Level 1 interstellar civilization, the kind that has just managed to leave its planetary surface and begin colonizing nearby worlds, usually unable to reach beyond its home star system, which is why they are also called star system level civilizations. Talk about a juicy target. Over 2,000 warships closing on him, an army biting an elephant with 1,000 small jaws. He is not even worried. This is only Level 1 interstellar civilization, and their combat power sits lower than a base model ship that has never been reinforced once. The battle axe completely outclasses them on armor, firepower, speed, and every standard module they can field. The 5 standard modules under his command are better in quality and better reinforced than anything they carry, as long as he does not insist on a head-on slugfest in their formation. Nothing here can kill him. His biggest advantage is the energy shield. Level 1 civilizations do not equip warships with energy shields as a rule, meaning their main cannons cannot punch through his shields to reach the armor. He only needs to avoid getting swarmed, and he will walk out of this heterospace battlefield richer than any rookie captain has a right to be. A Level 1 civilization against him is a joke. Talk about sheer luck. He laughs out loud, alone in the command cabin facing the starfield. After all, heterospace battlefields rarely hand out easy Level 1 targets. Everything depends on the seed warship's overall combat evaluation. Under Level 5, captains mostly draw Level 1 enemies with a tiny chance for Level 2. But past Level 5, the odds flip. 80% of opponents are Level 2. And past Level 10, Level 1 civilizations disappear entirely. That easy stretch before Level 5 is known as the novice period. Yet his own ship, the battle axe, is currently sitting at Level 6. Meaning he should be facing a tough Level 2 civilization, not a weak one. Honestly, the battle axe's raw combat power is nothing special. Its 5 basic modules are common gear, making his high rating a total illusion. Gold quality Mirage system is simply distorting the math to inflate the score. Against a Level 1, he can bully freely. Against a Level 2, he would struggle. Yet this isn't just any Level 1 opponent, it is an entire star system. An entire star system lies waiting. In his past life, things were different. He only got a tiny expansion fleet from a Level 1 civilization. Just 100 ships, yielding maybe 40 source points, barely enough to notice. Usually, a Level 1 warship drops a single source point when destroyed. And since the battle axe's 3rd generation, his collection rate is capped. It sits at 25%, turning each kill into a tiny quarter point of profit. Back then, getting under 50 source points was supposed to be a massive harvest.